in our country's history. You had Jeffrey Epstein, who literally set up an island of rape, a rape island. And you had rich and powerful men, some of the richest people in the world, who thought that they could hang out with bankers, buy off politicians, and abuse and rape America's girls with no consequence. Because survivors spoke up, because of their courage, the truth is finally going to come out. And when it comes out, this country is really going to have a moral reckoning. How did we allow this to happen? There should be no buildings named after people in this Epstein class. There should be no scholarships named after them. They shouldn't be enjoying the perks of being affiliated with corporations or universities or writing op-eds or being lionized. And many of the survivors will tell you some of these people still are celebrated in our society. That's disgusting. There needs to be accountability. I want to recognize first and foremost the survivors. They are the ones who made today possible. Many of you had forgotten about this issue, and frankly, for decades, we have not done enough about this issue. And it's only because of their advocacy, them coming here to the Capitol. They showed up here time and again, and on September 3rd, that the country started to pay attention. And I also want to thank the courage of two of my colleagues in particular. Both of them have suffered, as you know, extraordinary political consequences for what they did. One, my colleague, Congressman Thomas Massey. This would not have been possible if he hadn't led the discharge petition that got 218 signatures and is going to force a vote in the House of Representatives. And this would not have certainly been possible if it were not for the courage of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She signed the petition, and I would keep texting Thomas, is she going to drop off? Is she going to drop off? Because there was so much pressure against her, so much attacks against her. But she stood with the survivors. For Thomas or me, this has never been political. This is not about questions of Trump or Biden. This is a question of doing the right thing for survivors. We're going to get a vote today. I expect an overwhelming vote in the House of Representatives. And I don't want the DC swamp playing any games. They need to pass this in the Senate, and they should not amend it. President Trump has said he would sign the Epstein Transparency Act. It's going to get overwhelming support in the House. It should go straight to the Senate, and it should be signed. No amendments, no adding loopholes. Justice is long overdue. And I want to hand it over to my colleague, Representative Thomas Massey.
I want to start by thanking the survivors. I mean, they're giving everybody hope in this country. There are survivors of other sex crimes in this country wondering if they should come forward. They're clouded with shame and concerned that law enforcement will do nothing. And these survivors have stepped forth, taking that same risk, worried that they will be defamed themselves. They have been defamed for stepping forward, but we're going to get justice for them. That's going to happen today in the People's House. The founders set up our government with 3 branches and 2 branches of Congress. And I don't think it's any coincidence that this fight is being started and it's being won in the House of Representatives. I have people, other survivors of other sex crimes, who come to me and say, thank you. You give me hope. You give us hope. There is hope here. We fought the president, the attorney general, the FBI director, the Speaker of the House, and the vice president to get this win. But they're on our side today, though. So let's give them some credit as well. They are finally on the side of justice. And as Rose said, don't muck it up in the Senate. Don't get too cute. We're all paying attention. If you want to add some additional protections for these survivors, go for it. But if you do anything that prevents any disclosure, you are not for the people and you are not part of this effort. Do not muck it up in the Senate. So with that, I just want to say I am hopeful too. I didn't know that we would succeed when Roe and I started this effort. Most discharge petitions never make it, maybe only 4%. So we had long odds. But we had some brave women on the Republican side. My colleague Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of them, who's here with us today. You cannot even imagine the consequences that they have suffered. My colleague Lauren Boebert and my colleague Nancy Mace, they stood so strong. They put their names on a document in here, and then they were pressured in ways that you cannot even imagine. And they stood strong. And that's why we're here today. And they didn't take us seriously over at the executive branch or in the Senate, because they always thought they could flip one of these women. They could convince them or cajole them or intimidate them into taking their names off of this petition. But they did not succeed. This is a victory for those women and women all over the country today, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. With that, I want to introduce my colleague, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Ro. I woke up this morning and I turned to my weather app to check the temperature, and it was 32 degrees. And my first thought was, hell has froze over. I want to speak other survivors whose names you don't even know, but stand with these women. They are survivors, and they are strong, and they are courageous, and they are daughters of God. They are not victims. These women have fought the most horrific fight that no woman should have to fight, and they did it by banding together and never giving up. And that's what we did by fighting so hard against the most powerful people in the world, even the President of the United States, in order to make this vote happen today. I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people whom we serve as representatives here in Congress demanded that this vote happen, and they put more pressure on every single elected politician in this city than has ever been put on them. And today you are going to see probably a unanimous vote in the House to release the Epstein files. But the fight, the real fight, will happen after that. While I want to see every single name released so that these women don't have to live in fear and intimidation, which is something I've had a small taste of in just the past few days, just a small taste. They've been living it for years. But the real test will be, will the Department of Justice release the files? Or will it all remain tied up in investigations? Will the CIA release the files? Will a judge in New York release the information? That's information that needs to come out. And will the list of names that these women privately hold, and they hold it because of their fear in their heart of what would happen to them if they release it on their own, will that list of names come out? That's the real test. So I want to thank Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna for your bravery in doing something that is much needed in America, crossing the political aisle that has become bigger than the Grand Canyon in America. But these men crossed that aisle on behalf of these women. And that is more of what is needed today in America than ever in our history. So thank you so much. Who's next? Ro, I'll let you introduce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marjorie, Representative Green, for your courage and your words. Before I introduce our survivors, I just want to say that they will make their statements, and then you can ask questions of Representative Massey, myself, or Representative Green. But we do not want people asking questions and cross-examining the survivors. They're here to tell their stories, and they should be heard by the American people with respect. Of course, Congressman Massey, myself, and Congresswoman Green would be happy to answer questions after that. With that, let me introduce the survivor who's helped organize a lot of this, and will be telling her own story and introducing the other survivors. Haley Robson, thank you for your courage and leadership.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Oh, good morning. A little chilly coming from Florida. Not used to it. I want everybody to take a look. I know everybody sees us today as grown adults, but we are fighting for the children that were abandoned and left behind in the reckoning. This is who you're fighting for. This is who Congress is fighting for. This is who the House of Representatives are fighting for. And hopefully the Senate will fight for us too. I want to kick this off right, and I want to address Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, and Ro Khanna. I want to express my gratitude for all three of you, and I know Khanna, we Republican. And this is non-political. For intimidation, and I can say firsthand, stepping out against Epstein and his crimes against children, we have all experienced that ourselves. So for you to knowingly put yourselves at risk and put your career at risk is unbelievable to watch, and we are so grateful. I also want to make a proposition for Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you've been an advocate for this. If you decide to read those names on the House floor for immunity, I will be more than happy. No security needed. I will stand beside you. I will hold your hand. I will hold your coat in solidarity with you. And on top of that, I did talk to Jayapal, who said she would be more than happy to read those names too on the floor with all of us. It's time that we put the political agendas and party affiliations to the side. This is a human issue. This is about children. There is no place in society for exploitation, sexual crimes, or exploitation of women in society. There's no room for it, guys. We're not having it. And to the President of the United States of America, who is not here today, I want to send a clear message to you. While I do understand that your position has changed on the Epstein files, and I'm grateful that you have pledged to sign this bill, I can't help to be skeptical of what the agenda is. So with that being said, I want to relay this message to you. I am traumatized. I am not stupid. I am traumatized. I am not stupid. You have put us through so much stress, the lockdowns, the halt of these procedures that were supposed to have happened 50 days ago. The Adelita Grijalva, who waited to get sworn in, and then get upset when your own party goes against you because what is being done is wrong. It's not right. For your own self-serving purposes, this is America. This is land of the free. Land of the free. In 1863, we have a woman on top of the Capitol building represent freedom. I do not feel free today. I don't know if the women behind me feel free today. So I am begging every member of Congress, every representative, to step up and choose the chaos, choose the survivors, choose the children, protect the children, all children. You protect all of us equally. Thank you very much for your time. Following that, Lisa Phillips will be the next survivor.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Phillips. It's an honor to stand here again for something America is finally united on: the immediate release of the entire Epstein files. In a divided nation, this is one demand we all share. Last time I stood here, I made a promise to all survivors watching. If those in power refused to release the truth, we would start uncovering it ourselves. For anyone who doubted that, that moment has already arrived. Since that day, more survivors across the country and around the world have reached out: text, emails, DMs, firsthand accounts, and evidence. Many are women who were abused or trafficked through the international modeling pipeline Epstein built, promising visas, apartments, opportunities, futures, while exploiting their dreams for abuse. Most are still terrified to speak publicly because the men involved are powerful. They're connected, and as we know, they're protected. For too long, survivors have watched others speak for us. And while we are grateful for our allies in Congress on both sides, we've realized something. This fight belongs to us. We lived it, and we know the truth. And we will not wait quietly for institutions to decide when we're allowed to speak. The survivors now coming forward have entrusted us with their stories. We are sharing that information with the proper authorities, and when it can safely be made public, it will be. So today, we are launching something historic: the first national survivor-led political movement in America. Nonpartisan, laser-focused, on exposing the systems, the loopholes, power structures, and silencing mechanisms that have protected predators for far too long. We are stepping directly into the halls of power, into the political arena. We will help rewrite laws that failed us and build protections for our nation's children together, targeted by sexual exploitation. Together, today, survivors begin our own fight, the survivor revolution. And we intend to change this nation for the better. If you're a survivor who wants to join us, please reach out. And to anyone who benefits from the current system, intentionally or not, remember this. Alone, yes, we are afraid. But together, we are feared. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am Jenna Lisa Jones, and just as Haley, I would just like to give a little reminder that this was me at 14 years old. I was a child. I was in 9th grade. I was hopeful for life and what the future had held for me. He stole a lot for me, team. So just a little reminder there for everybody. Sorry. So, I just want to start out by saying thank you for all of you for being here today. I want to start by expressing my deepest gratitude to the members of Congress who have stood with us, the survivors, in demanding the transparency and justice. Your support is a signal that this institution can still serve the American people. This issue was never one that should have divided us the way it has. In fact, it should have united us. Sexual abuse is not a Republican issue. It is not a Democratic issue. It is also not a hoax. We are here as American survivors of a man who used his wealth and power to hurt young girls and women. The world should see the files to know who Jeffrey Epstein was and how the system catered to him and failed us. Emotionally, this process has been distressing. First, the administration said it would release everything and applauded President Trump for that. Then it fought to release nothing. Now that checks and balances of our democracy have worked and the bill is getting passed to release the files, we are hearing the administration say they intend to investigate various Democrats who were friends with Epstein. I beg you, President Trump, please stop making this political. It is not about you, President Trump. You are our president. Please start acting like it. Show some class, show some real leadership, show that you actually care about the people other than yourself. I voted for you, but your behavior on this issue has been a national embarrassment. It is time to take the honest, moral ground and support the release of these files, not to weaponize pieces of the files against random political enemies that did nothing wrong, but to understand who Epstein's friends were, who covered for him, what financial institutions allowed his trafficking to continue, who knew what he was doing, but was too much of a coward to do anything about it. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were able to recruit and abuse young girls and women. Then the country will learn nothing, and has horrible history will repeat itself if we do not do something about this. Thank you to the brave congressmen and women who have stood by us and recognized our side is the American side, and we should all be proud once again to be Americans. I want to just extend my thank you so much to all three of you, very, very much. The first time we were here, listening to the, people yell shame at you, and when she was here in support of us, really hit home and spoke some volumes, and I just very much appreciative of your support, and we stand by you. Don't let any of them bully you. We're here for you. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming together today and taking the time to listen to us. Your presence means the world, and it shows commitment to understanding and supporting survivors and Americans. I stand before you today with a heavy heart. I originated from Brazil, and I came to the United States when I was 8 years old. I was only 14 when I first encountered Jeffrey Epstein, and my daughter is now almost at that age. At 14, the only things she should be concerned with are going to school, practicing at her cheerleading competitions, and enjoying her time with her friends and family. She should not have to bear the burden of worrying about being manipulated or exploited. At this age, she is still a child, and no child should ever have to face such threats. I also want to address a troubling statement made by a prominent figure on a major platform who suggested that a 14-year-old should not be considered a victim of pedophilia. This is a dangerous and incorrect notion. When we talk about how children at 14 should still be treated as children, I ask you to look at the young people around you. Remember when you were that age? Do you think you should have been responsible for being groomed? Put yourselves in our position when we were young. I'm here today not to just share my story, but to call on all of you to help make a difference. We need to support to push for the Transparency Act and release the Epstein files. Please reach out to your Congress members and senators and urge them to support this crucial legislation. The truth is something that we all deserve, and it is vital for safety and protection of the future of generations. Think about all the young people in your life, your daughters, your nieces, your friends. Let's stand together and ensure that they grow up in a world where they are safe and valued. I often wondered, why did this happen to me? And then I realized, God only gives you what you can handle. I'm here for a purpose, and that purpose is to make a difference today. So let's stand together to protect our children and our peace. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to say a few things before I begin. My speech may not be great. It was thrown together last minute as I only came here, decided Friday, when one of us who has spoken several times decided she couldn't come because of the threats. She was too scared. So I want to say, when you threaten one of us, you're threatening all of us. Yep. We are together now, and that's never going to change. This is me at 16 when I met Jeffrey Epstein. Now I'll start. It is an honor to stand here before the American people. However, I shouldn't have to stand here at all. I'm here because as a child, I was pulled into Jeffrey Epstein's world, a world built on exploitation and manipulation of innocence and the protection of powerful men and women who believed that they were untouchable. Today, we'd rather be preparing for the holidays. We'd rather be at home with our families, baking with our children and decorating the Christmas tree as we try to move past this horrific moment that has impacted our entire adult lives. However, that's not possible because it's become something it should have never been, political and sensationalized. The truth is simple. We were victimized as children and failed repeatedly by the very system that was supposed to protect us. That's why we stand here today, to demand justice and accountability, not just for Epstein and his crimes, but for every predator and every enabler who participates in or protects abusers. The Epstein case was gravely mishandled consistently and deliberately over many years. Epstein could have been stopped decades ago, but instead he was able to continue his abuse, even during his sweetheart deal. Yes, with his ankle monitor on and beyond. A deal that protected him and silenced us. While I was a child fighting to survive what happened to us, federal prosecutors were negotiating ways to shield powerful adults. And the failures didn't stop there. Our civil cases were met with hostile judges and delay tactics, intimidation, and PR campaigns designed to smear us in the public eye. We were treated as problems to be managed instead of victims to be protected. Today, something has changed. Individually, our voices were whispers. Together, they've become impossible to ignore. We are encouraged to see elected officials from both parties, thank you, come together and finally take action to release the files. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Good job. Good morning. My name is Wendy, and I'm standing here today with a truth that still scares me to say out loud. I'm going to put this down because I can't hold both, as you guys saw, but that was me when I was 14 when I met Jeffrey Epstein. None of us here signed up for this political warfare. We never asked to be dragged into battles between people who never protected us in the first place. We are exhausted from surviving the trauma and then surviving the politics that swirl around it. When survivors travel to speak, to advocate, to stand for the truth, we do it with our own money, from our own pockets, carrying our own fear, shaking in our own bodies. There is no team, there is no paycheck. It's just us hoping our voices make a difference. And it puts a pit right in your stomach because you know you're standing on the right side of history.
Yes.
But standing on the right side of history is not a comfortable place to be.
Yep.
It never has been. And in a sick, heartbreaking way, it's an honor to show up, an honor to speak here, and an honor to stand in light when the world tried to keep us in the dark. And what keeps me standing is, even with all this fear, I have a 14-year-old daughter myself, the same age I was. And when I look at her, I see the little girl I used to be, the one that no one protected. My greatest fear in this entire world is history repeating itself. And I will do anything, absolutely anything, to make sure that she has to never be one of these girls standing in front of a crowd like this today in her life. So today, from the safest and bravest places inside myself, I am asking Congress, please pass the bill. Please release the records. Stop making survivors fight alone for the truth that should have protected us in the first place. To the representatives that support us, thank you. Thank you for standing beside survivors so we don't have to face this fear alone. Thank you for choosing what is right over what is easy. And every survivor who is scared right now, your fear is real. Your courage is real. And even though we're terrified, we keep showing up because someone has to tell the truth. Someone has to protect these children. We deserve safety then. We deserve it now. And we are done being afraid so others can stay comfortable. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for having us. And I just hope that people can remember that as survivors, our story never leaves us, but the choice that you make to pass this bill, your career is in front of you, and that choice will follow you. Everybody will know. So thank you.
Good job. You're incredible.
Hello, everybody. My name is Danny Bensky. This was me at 17 years old. Coming from the dance world, I was recruited in 2004 after a systematic breaking down where Epstein leveraged my mother's brain tumor scans. He threatened me to withhold care for her. He trapped me in a year-long cycle of abuse. The last time I was here in Washington, D.C., I talked about being a part of this beautiful mosaic of women behind me, and they are exactly that. They are a beautiful mosaic of energy and passion and love and life. I am one story of 1,000. You think of that number, 1,000. I spoke of how big our hopes and dreams once were, and I talked about how they were completely shattered at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Now I look at this amazing community behind me. They are survivor sisters. We are together. We stand together in this. And I realize that we are a representation of women across America. We come from different backgrounds. We have different religions. We are different races, different creeds, different ethnicities. We have different political affiliations. Some of us don't want to be political at all. And yet we stand here together for this cause. We're united in the call for transparency, complete transparency, to find justice. Justice for our younger selves. These pictures that you see, they're real people. I wish I could go back and give my former self a hug and say, this matters and it's going to change, and mean it. We are standing here for justice for the youth of tomorrow, and justice for those who are no longer with us, like the beautiful, brave Virginia Giuffre. We understand that the road is long, but I implore you to stay the course, please. Living in an age where you can get news in 10-second clips on your phone, I know that this is a big task for us, but it's a very personal one for survivors. It's a very personal one for us as a country. So I'd like to ask you to try something right now. I'd like everybody to close their eyes or soften their gaze just for a moment. And I want everybody to think of a child that is close to them between the ages of 14 and 18 years old. It could be your daughter, it could be your niece, it could be a friend's kids, it could be you at a former age, it could be your mother at that age. But really envision that for a second, 14 to 18 years old. Once you think of that person, I want you to think about what they feel like. What is their energy? What do they smell like? What sound do they make when they laugh? Really think about that child just for a moment. Now I want you to picture a pair of giant looming wooden doors and an overbearing marble landing. Those are the doors to Jeffrey Epstein's house. Do you allow that child to enter or not? If the answer is yes, you would allow entrance. You stand with predators. If the answer is no, then congratulations, you're on the right side of justice. Now you have homework. I am calling for the American people. You have homework. Call your congressional leaders. Call your senators. Please support this bill. Let's get it all released. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Annie Farmer, and this is a photo of me and my sister Maria Farmer around the time I was 16 and she was 25. That's how old we were when we were abused by Epstein and Maxwell. Survivors have repeatedly stated that our pursuit of transparency and justice is a nonpartisan issue. But given the political noise surrounding this case, I just want to remind people of some of the facts. In 1996, when my sister Maria bravely blew the whistle on this group by reporting to the FBI what what Epstein and Maxwell did to both of us. They hung up on the phone on her, and there was no follow-up of any kind. Bill Clinton was president. In 2006, the FBI came to us, finally interviewed us, and asked us both to be witnesses against Epstein. We were very anxious, but we agreed. And then we didn't hear back from them due to their infamous sweetheart deal. George W. Bush was president. In 2015, when the DOJ was sent FOIA requests for Maria's FBI files, and they were denied, as they have been many times, Barack Obama was president. In 2019, when Epstein died in prison due to either negligence or foul play, Donald Trump was president. In 2023, Maria's attorneys sent a letter on her behalf to the government, requesting an investigation into the repeated law enforcement failures in this case, similar to what was done in the case of Larry Nassar. They declined to do so. Consequently, my sister filed notice that she would be suing the government for failing to uphold its legal, ethical, and moral duties in this case. Joe Biden was president. This year, after campaigning on a pledge to finally release the files, under Trump's second presidency, the DOJ announced they were closing the investigation into Epstein's co-conspirators, and then transferred Ghislaine Maxwell into a prison camp where it is well documented that she is receiving special treatment. This is not an issue of a few corrupt Democrats or a few corrupt Republicans. This is a case of institutional betrayal. Because these crimes were not properly investigated, so many more girls and women were harmed. My sister, because of her bravery, was repeatedly threatened and lived in fear with dire consequences for her health and her career. 30 years later, even as oceans of allegations and obvious truths have emerged, the government has still not chosen transparency. This is why we have all come together as one united voice to demand the release of all the Epstein files and to finally bring the truth out of the shadows.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of Congress, and everyone gathered here today, I want to start by thanking the three of you. Thank you. It takes a lot of bravery to do what you're doing. We hear you. We see you. It means a lot for you to be here with us, and I know my sister will be incredibly proud. This is the moment she was fighting for and the moment that all survivors are fighting for. So thank you. My name is Sky Roberts, and I stand before you as the brother of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, a warrior, a mother, and a sister whose legacy will forever resonate in the hearts of those who understand the fight against injustice. Today, we find ourselves in a place of deep sorrow, shattered by the loss of our beloved sister. Yet, we are honored and privileged to carry her voice forward and continue her relentless fight alongside her fellow survivor sisters. Virginia's story is one that should have been filled with promise, but instead it became a harrowing tale of exploitation and survival. At just 16 years old, she took a job at Mar-a-Lago, believing she had secured a dream summer position. But that dream quickly morphed into a nightmare when Ghislaine Maxwell preyed upon her innocence. This isn't just the story of one girl. It's a story about the insidious nature of power and abuse, a dark chapter in our society that must be told. Virginia was no stranger to trauma. In her memoir, Nobody's Girl, she shares the painful truth that she had already suffered abuse at the hands of our father and a family friend. But what happened next was unfathomable. Epstein and Maxwell didn't just abuse her, they trafficked her to a network of the rich and powerful. Princes, prime ministers, politicians, financiers, and lawyers. These men committed unspeakable acts against her will, and against the will of countless survivors who stand united with us today. Virginia's strength was tested in many ways that most of us can hardly imagine. She was manipulated, coerced, and threatened, forced into complicity in her own devastation. She often spoke of psychological scars that ran deeper than the physical ones. From the start, she wrote, "They manipulated me into participating in behaviors that ate away at me, eroding my ability to comprehend reality and preventing me from defending myself. The most destructive wound they inflicted was that of forced complicity, a betrayal of self that was crafted by her abusers. But I stand here today to declare that their tactics of fear and intimidation did not work. Virginia's spirit could not be broken. She became a beacon of hope, a warrior, fighting not just for herself, but for every survivor who suffered in silence. She said, I felt it was my duty to stand up to predators like Epstein and Maxwell. I would put my neck on the line to make sure my daughter never has to go through what I had to endure. These survivors like Virginia have transformed into mothers and strong women, fierce in the face of adversity. Many of them have daughters the same age they were when they faced their own abuse. They are determined to break the cycle, to shatter the silence that has kept so many in the shadows. Virginia quoted in her memoir, "There I was, as the mother of 3 children. I felt it was my duty to stand up to predators like Epstein and Maxwell. I mentioned to Ellie in particular, her daughter, I would put my neck on the line to make sure she never has to go through what I had to go through. I said, joining Edward's CVRA case, what I would want somebody to do for my daughter or sister and friend. In the end, I said, I was just trying to do the right thing. That's what I felt like I'm doing," I said. "I'm making a small dent in this big world we live in." Well, Sissy, you didn't just make a small dent. You made a monumental impact, a resounding statement that echoed across the world. You built an unbreakable wall, a barrier that will protect future generations from the horrors of abuse. As we gather here today, I urge each of you, members of Congress, advocates, and all those who hear this message to join us in this fight. We demand justice, accountability, and support for survivors. And we keep getting asked this. What does justice mean, you ask? It starts with acknowledgement. That's the first step. Acknowledge in the face of survivors that this happened and that this is true. Your vote carries that weight. My sister is not a political tool for you to use. These survivors are not political tools for you to use. These are real stories, real trauma, and it's time for you to stop just talking about it and act. Vote yes. Virginia's legacy is not just hers. It belongs to all of us who stand against injustice. Together, we will ensure that the voices of survivors are heard, that the truth prevails, and that the horrors of the past are never repeated. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for standing with us. Together, we will not let Virginia's fight be in vain. Together, we will not let the predators win. Together, we will be the change this world desperately needs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was so beautiful.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein in 1991. I always share the date when I talk about my story because people rarely acknowledge how long this has actually been going on. And for too long, truth has been buried, survivors have been silenced, and powerful people have been protected. And today we stand in a moment that will decide whether our government still belongs to the American people or to those who prey on them. Because when mountains of evidence and decades of victim reports across 5 administrations still lead to sweetheart deals or no prosecution at all, this isn't just one case gone wrong. It's an institutional failure on a historic scale, and every member of Congress in this administration must answer for that failure. Millions of sexual abuse survivors know the pain of speaking up and watching the institutions that are meant to protect them look away. We're not alone in this. Epstein may be the headline, but the betrayal reaches every corner of our country. And if our justice system can collapse this completely for so long, then Congress cannot pretend that the system is working. Not for us, and not for the generations that will live with the consequences of what they choose now. One long overdue step towards repairing this damage is the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Because without transparency, there's no accountability. Without accountability, there is no justice. And without justice, democracy dies.
Yeah.
So representatives, you have a choice to show millions of Americans whether you stand with us or with the powerful predators that are counting on your complicity. Thank you.
Yeah. Good job.
Good morning. This is me. This was me. My name is Charlene Rochard, and I stand before you today not as a victim of rumor or conspiracy, but as a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. Far too long, survivors like me have been dismissed, silenced, or told that our pain was exaggerated or fabricated. Let me be clear. This is not a hoax.
Yes, it's not.
What we endured was real, and it has scarred lives across 5 presidential administrations. The truth has been buried in sealed files and hidden records for far too long. The Epstein Files Transparency Act is not just about survivors. It's about America itself. How can we keep America great if the principles the nation was founded on, that power belongs to the people, is not protected? No one, no matter how wealthy and well-connected, stands above the law. If we cannot face the truth, then we betray the very ideals that defines us as a country. By passing this act, Congress has the chance to prove that truth matters more than privilege.
Yes.
That justice matters more than influence. And that America has the courage to confront even the most uncomfortable realities. This is not just about survivors. It's about every American who believes in accountability, fairness, and the promise of justice. I stand here today not only for myself, but for every survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse who has carried this burden in silence, and for every citizen who believes that justice delayed is justice denied.
Yeah.
I want to thank Representatives Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey for standing with us. Thank you. And I especially want to thank Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Her unwavering support, her courage to stand with us and demand transparency gives us strength. Thank you. It shows that this fight for accountability is bigger than politics. It's about humanity, justice, and truth. This is about America's future. It's about whether we, the people, will be heard when we have the courage to stand for truth and justice. Our voices are real. Our pain is real. And our demand for justice will not be silenced. Thank you.
Amen.
Girl, Charlene. Hello.
Good for you, girl. You did amazing.
My name is Laura Bloom McGee. This is my first time speaking publicly about my abuse. As a young woman in New York City, I was pursuing a modeling career and building a life of giving back through my philanthropic work. Instead, I was intentionally groomed and became part of an international model sex trafficking ring that was led by Jeffrey Epstein. I was sexually and mentally abused by Jeffrey Epstein. He used my dreams and vulnerabilities to silence me. Today, I am here to break that silence. Sex trafficking and sexual abuse are crimes against human beings, not political talking points. For too long, Epstein's abuse was an open secret, with his network remained protected. Evil thrives in darkness. We must shine a light on every corner where it hides. Nothing should be off limits in the search for truth. Please vote that everything in the files be released. Let investigations proceed without obstruction. Demand oversight and deliver justice. The government must never side with predators. I come as one survivor, but I stand here for everyone who prayed for me, who believed in me, and who hoped for me. To my fellow survivors, your courage brought me here. We are more than victims. We are mothers, daughters, sisters, friends. This is not a hoax, and we will not be erased. Shame on any elected official who obstructs truth and justice for the American people. Thank you.
Amen. Laura. Yeah, girl.
My name is Liz Stein. In 1994, I was a senior in college, just 21 years old. I had aspirations of attending law school after graduation, and it looked like I had a bright future ahead of me. 1994 was also the year I met Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. My involvement with them changed the trajectory of my entire life. The Epstein files are not about loyalty to any one political party. They're evidence of a crime. We stand here today, victims of the crime of sex trafficking. I'm here today speaking both for my 21-year-old self and for the countless number of people who have experienced sexual violence. When I am asked what I would tell my younger self if I could say something, I say that I would tell myself to tell someone. And if they don't listen, to tell someone else, and to just keep telling until someone listens. And even if nobody listens to you, you should be proud of yourself because you stood in your uncomfortable truth when others could not. And that is true bravery. We stand here today as survivors, part of a sorority that none of us asked to join. We have told our stories over and over and over. Now it's time to see who was listening. We ask that you vote to release the files, all of them, so the victims of this crime can finally see justice. Thank you.
of your so-called majority, Mr. Speaker, not as a check and balance on an out-of-control administration, but as a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda, and you are failing the American people. You failed to keep your core promise. Your core promise to the American people was that you were going to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down here in the United States of America. Costs have gone up. The Trump economy is a complete and total failure. It's a disaster. The American people are hurting. And so every week, you come to the House floor now that you've returned from your 7-week taxpayer-funded vacation and come up with another stunt to try to distract the American people. Or perhaps you were ordered by your puppet master, Donald Trump, who wants to distract the American people today because his effort to suppress the Jeffrey Epstein files has failed spectacularly. We believe in transparency. We believe in accountability. We believe in due process. That's the opposite of what is happening on the floor today. And let me be very clear about Stacey Plaskett. She's a woman of great intelligence and a woman of great integrity. And she deserves better than what she's receiving from House Republican extremists. She deserves the opportunity to be heard. She deserves due process. She deserves the ability to make her case, not to be prosecuted by petty foggers, playing lawyer on the floor of the House of Representatives. Google that if you don't know what it means. The so-called Freedom Caucus want to lecture us about proceeding at this moment. The actions that you continue to engage in will have consequences. Consequences today, consequences tomorrow, consequences next week, consequences next year, and certainly consequences when the American people throw this House Republican majority out in the aftermath of the election next November. Be very careful about the extreme actions that you continue to engage in. Now, it's extraordinary to me, week after week, censure after censure, and I wonder, is it just coincidence that the last 3 censures we've had on the House floor happen to involve, first, you tried to censure LaMonica MacIver. And then, Mr. Speaker, Republicans tried to censure Ilhan Omar. And now we're on the floor and you're trying to censure Stacey Plaskett. What is it exactly that those 3 individuals have in common? House Republicans are going to have to answer for the things, the extreme things that you continue to do. And the American people know this is a phony majority. It's a fake majority. It's not a real majority. Republicans aren't doing anything to make life better for the American people. And that's why we're on the floor right now. There's nothing that House Republicans can do to disgrace Stacey Plaskett because House Republicans continue to disgrace themselves. And so whatever happens later on this evening, the American people will hear from Delegate Plaskett beyond this, making her case. The people of the Virgin Islands, I'm confident, will continue to stand behind her. And we will never be lectured on issues related to accountability and transparency and principle and ethics from this group of extreme House Republicans who continue to visit a national nightmare on the American people, bending the knee to a wannabe king, doing real harm in real time, and at the end of the day, your time is coming as well. I yield back.
Chairman yields. How much time do we have, Mr. Speaker? Gentleman has 4.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. All members are again reminded, including Minority Leader, to direct your comments to the chair. All members are again instructed, including Minority Leader, to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the president. The gentleman from Maryland seeks recognition.
No, we'll reserve.
Gentleman from Maryland reserves. Gentleman from South Carolina.
Speaker, I find it interesting that the minority leader mentioned that, got not really a majority. I will tell you, 77 million people are a majority. They rendered the consequences to elect the president that has revived this country from a disaster 4 years under the Biden administration. Let's go back.
I keep saying we didn't vote for this. You might have voted for Trump, but we didn't vote for this. We didn't vote for all this bullshit that's going on. Y'all need to get it together. We didn't vote for this bullshit. Shit. The hell did I just do? Hold on, y'all. I just did something. Sorry. Oh, here we are.
Gentleman has 6.5 minutes remaining.
I reserve.
Gentleman from South Carolina reserves. Gentleman from Maryland.
I'm yielding 1 minute to the representative from New York, Ms. Clark.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the Congressional Black Caucus, the conscience of the Congress, in strong opposition to this resolution. This resolution is a blatantly partisan, shameless attack. As we sit here today, Donald Trump is still the single person in this country with the authority and the ability to deliver justice to survivors and truth to the American people by just releasing the files. So instead of answering why Donald Trump chooses every single day not to release the Epstein files, they're pointing fingers at this side of the aisle. Mr. Speaker, unlike the president, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett has committed no crime, violated no rule, and broken no promises. There has been no investigation, no due process, no inquiry into whether the Congresswoman had any connection whatsoever to Epstein's despicable and disgusting criminal conduct. This resolution would have us remove a capable and hardworking member of one of the most serious working committees in this body on the basis of a conversation from more than 6 years ago, which broke no rules, and has no connection to any criminal activity. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this partisan resolution, this sham, and I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired.
We reserve.
Gentleman from Maryland reserves. Gentleman from South Carolina.
Speaker, I reserve.
Gentleman from South Carolina reserves.
And we're prepared to close.
It's closed.
Yeah,
Gentleman.
I'm prepared to close.
All right. Gentleman from South Carolina is prepared to close. Maryland is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I want to start by addressing the young people who appear to be in the audience this evening, because I'm afraid some of my arguments are lost on some of our colleagues across the aisle suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. It seems to have completely warped their minds today and not thinking clearly about the Constitution or about the rule of law. But the young people here will recognize, if they read this resolution, immediately what's wrong with it, because it's replete with phrases like this, that this one incident that they're referring to raises serious questions about the judgment and the integrity and the fitness to serve. Well, I think that's absurd, but in any event, if you think it raises serious questions, presumably you would want the answers to those questions, but you don't get answers by rushing to judgment and turning the whole process upside down. This resolution starts by saying we censure her, we remove her from committee, and the very next component of it says we direct the Committee on Ethics to conduct an investigation. That is the opposite of due process, and I hope at least future generations will understand that's not how we hold people accountable, whether it's under criminal law, under civil law, or under an ethics process, which they purport to want to be launching here. Again, go back to the George Santos standard. The reason we voted against just hanging him out to dry and censoring him and expelling him is because the process hadn't happened yet. And Democrats and Republicans together did it, but they're thinking in solely partisan terms. Even Matt Gaetz, accused of having sex with a 17-year-old, was never censured by the House of Representatives. Even with Speaker McCarthy and others condemning him for what he did, we did not censure him. Think about what you're doing to the precedents of this body by trying to attack Ms. Plaskett. And let me just close with a personal thought. I wasn't going to bring it up because I didn't want to embarrass her, but she was one of the 3 finest students I ever had in constitutional law. She was a straight A student in the early 1990s. She's a straight A student in the 21st century. I'm proud not only that she was my student, but that she's my friend and that she's my colleague, and you don't disgrace us in any way. You go to work every day for the people of Virgin Islands, and we're proud of you. With that, I'll yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I find it interesting that the president is occupying the minds of my good friend on the left, rent-free. And it's interesting they bring him up every time, and keep doing it. Keep doing it. This president's got a record that is second to none. And I hope our listeners in the audience can distinguish between just words and babbling on when they reject the facts of what's been presented. Texts don't lie. And they can offer all the excuses. And I do think Ms. Plaskett is a nice lady. She made a mistake here, a bad mistake. She took advice from a convicted pedophile that is indefensible in this discussion here today. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to my colleagues defend the indefensible. I've heard everything from this is old news to this is just politics. But not a single person has disputed the key fact. Written records and Epstein's own estate documents show Delegate Plaskett sought his input for an official hearing. This is the issue. That alone. Everything else is just noise. This chamber cannot overlook that a sitting member of Congress coordinated with a convicted sex offender to prepare questions for an official proceeding. Imagine telling the American people that that's acceptable. Imagine explaining to parents all across this country that Congress sees no problem with relying on the counsel of a predator of our innocent children. Some of my colleagues want to blur the edges, soften the facts, or bury this under procedural fog, noise as I call it. But sunlight is the best disinfectant, and accountability is not optional. This resolution is not excessive at all. It is appropriate. It is measured. It is necessary at this time. The question before us is very simple. Do we uphold a minimal standard for ethical conduct, or do we just shrug and say, well, maybe next time? Mr. Speaker, the public deserves better. The House deserves better. The American people deserve better. I urge adoption of this resolution, and I yield the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields. Without objection, the previous question is ordered on the resolution. The question is on the adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Yeah. Welcome to procedural democracy.
What purpose does the gentleman seek
I
recognition?
request a recorded vote, and I challenge the speaker's interpretation of the voice vote.
The gentleman asked for the yeas and nays.
I ask for the ayes and the nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed.
Are they voting or something? What the hell are they doing?
And I want to first say thank you for your ongoing leadership. I know it must not be easy thing to do, much like it's not easy for us to be doing this. So I guess we're in this together. So thank you so much. I feel like our courage has, we're reflecting, mirroring courage, because that's what it takes to do this, right? So this was me at 22 years old. I was not a child, technically, very young adult. I imagine most of you here can relate to the mindset and to be 22 years old. So today is a good day, and I thank God for that. It's widely and undeniably clear that our current political climate is quite rigid and seemingly at war with one another. This sets a stage. This sets a stage for voices, survivor voices, to get spoken over and drowned out by the political darts whizzing by. Not today, though. Today, our truth and our power have steadily risen up. We are at the peak. Our voices prevail today. Our voices initiated the coming together of both political parties. That's pretty big, I think. Republicans and Democrats, we all stand together today. We all stand together for justice, and we must continue to do so to protect the integrity of our country and our democracy. Truth and justice must prevail. The children today are those that will lead this nation one day. Think about that. What does that mean to each of you? If anyone doubts that this does not directly contribute to the fate of our country and democracy, I challenge you and I urge you to think again. Our voices are a fundamental pillar of future generations. Today, that's what we stand here for. Accountability, action, and justice. Let's get this vote done today. Let's send it through the Senate and straight to President Trump's desk for signing. I'd like to be there that day that he signs. I'm sure all of us would like to be there. Today is a good day, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
I just want to give you a hug.
Okay.
Hey guys, we're actually pressed for time, so we are not going to be taking questions. Going further, I bring back Rokana. He's going to do our closing conversation and comments.
Well, thank you, Haley. Teresa is right. It's pretty big what the survivors have accomplished today. And I just want to say how eloquent strong and admirable they were. Let's give them a round of applause for their courage. Thomas and Marjorie and I will take a few questions from people. Who haven't. Go ahead.
Is basically right now calling on the Senate to make revisions to this bill because he says it doesn't adequately protect the survivors, the victims that are standing behind you. Your response to that?
That's been a red herring all along. The survivors have always been in favor of this legislation, and there's a provision in there you can read if he would just read it that protects them. Now, if he wants to offer more protections in the Senate, that's fine with us. But here's the problem. Now we have to vote on it again in the House. And so, as you heard, justice delayed is justice denied. It could be just another delay tactic. But we want to.
Is that what you think? That's the motivation?
I think the Speaker wants to save face. He's going to vote for a piece of legislation today that he's disparaged for 4 months. And if, however, he needs to come on board, we want him on board. So we appreciate that.
Did you want to? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, you know, there's becoming a reckoning in Britain that needs to happen in the United States. A prince lost his title. The ambassador to the United States lost his job. We need to see those same kind of consequences here. As my colleague Rose said, there shouldn't be buildings named after these perpetrators of these heinous crimes. There shouldn't be scholarships named after them. And there needs to be accounting. We've seen tens of thousands of pages released by the Oversight Committee. What we've not seen is a single name. So I implore you to look and see if we have true justice and transparency in here. And the survivors will know when that has happened.
And I do think that Prince Andrew does need to come and testify at our Oversight Committee, and that can be bipartisan. But I share Thomas's view that the urgency that the British people have shown in getting justice needs to inspire an urgency here in America. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You don't need legislation to get the files released. President Trump could just release them today.
Well,
Is that frustrating for you? Why isn't he doing that? And also, did you ask him to be here today? It's a really powerful moment. This.
Look, I'll let my colleague speak. I hope the president meets the survivors, and I hope when he signs the bill, the survivors are there. I don't care if I'm there, Thomas Massey's there, Representative Green's there, but the survivors should be there. But I hope he meets them, because I think if anyone who meets them and sees their emotion will be moved. And my goal is to get justice here. So I hope he will meet them and really hear what's happened and actually take action. But the broader point is, yes, the president could order the Justice Department to release the files. But what in a constitutional democracy, what we're supposed to have is Congress says that the files should be released, and then it's not on the whim of any president. Then the Justice Department is compelled to release those files because that's the law of the land.
Let's just take a, yeah. Take. So Senator Merkley is a Democrat. He's led the exact same legislation that Roe and I introduced in the House. One Republican co-sponsored his bill yesterday, and I have spoken to at least one more who says they will co-sponsor. The important thing about the Senate is that they need not to muck this bill up. There's a lot of attention on here. We've needlessly spent 4 months dragging this out. A duly elected representative, was denied her seat in Congress for 49 days, and it's time to pull the Band-Aid off. The Senate, it may be tempting for them to get cute and to do things that will limit the release of these documents. They are afraid that people will be embarrassed. Well, that's the whole point here. They need to be brought to justice, and embarrassment is no reason to stop it. So the Senate, John Thune, it's up to him. He needs to bring this to the floor of the Senate. And I think the vote today will show that in the House.
And the president, look, the president has said he would sign the bill. You're going to get almost a unanimous vote here. So you have the president and a unanimous Congress believing that this protects the survivors and is calling for the release. There's no reason for the Senate now to, as Representative Massey puts it, muck around with it. They need to put it up, have a vote, have the president sign it. If there's any further protections, they can do that through the DOJ process. But what they should not do is delay a vote on a bill that the House is going to vote overwhelmingly for and that the president supports.
On the release of these files, on the
Yeah,
release of these
just go ahead.
files, Councilman Green, you raised the question of whether or not the Justice Department will actually release these files. Do you take the president at his word when he says he's going to sign this bill, and do you have confidence that these files will actually be released?
I only take people's actions seriously, no longer words.
And what do you think the president's
And I'll tell you, because I wasn't a Johnny come lately to the MAGA train. I was day one 2015, and there's a big difference in those Americans and those that decided to support President Trump later on. And I'll tell you right now, this has been one of the most destructive things to MAGA is watching the man that we supported early on, 3 elections, for people that stood hours, slept in their cars to go to rallies, have fought for truth and transparency and to hold what we consider a corrupt government accountable. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart. And the only thing that will speak to the powerful, courageous women behind me is when action is actually taken to release these files, and the American people won't tolerate any other bullshit. That's where we are today. Thank you.
Go ahead. Last, 2 more questions, and then we're around all day.
Is this a watershed? How would you sum up today in terms of your battle to get to the truth?
I would say that these survivors have been fighting for decades, and they finally are being heard by the American people. And we're finally going to have a reckoning for this Epstein class that has gotten away with horrific things. Look, I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. People went to church, they played Little League, they went to their neighbors for barbecue. They didn't go to a rape island and abuse young girls or traffic young girls. And people with extreme wealth have thought that the laws don't apply to them, and their culture is totally out of touch with the values that built America. And finally, we're going to have a reckoning over it.
How worried are you?
Let's take the lady here.
Let me ask you this. You said you wanted this to go straight to the Senate. What message does it send to the survivors behind you if the Senate doesn't act quickly to move this bill forward?
Well, they're not here. They're not going to answer questions, so I'll answer a question. I prefer, actually, it goes straight to the president. He can release these files without the Senate acting. Sometimes they take a long time to get things done. The House figured out a way to take 4 months to get this done. I think it's disrespectful to the survivors if they delay this. There's nothing more important than cleaning out the rot in this country. And this is rot, and it's not a partisan issue. And the senators need to get on this. Yes, the economy is important. Yes, international policy is important, but there's nothing more important than getting to this rot and cleaning it out. They should put it at the top of their agenda.
There's a provision in the bill already that would allow the DOJ to not release certain information if it would jeopardize an active investigation. And the president just last week ordered his DOJ to conduct an investigation. What makes you think you would actually, if this bill passes, see these files?
There are 1,000 survivors. They can't open enough investigations to cover up everything that's in these files. And yes, it's true, they can try to protect a few certain people or a few certain companies, but those investigations will eventually end. And in the meantime, there's not enough investigations to cover up 1,000 different crimes, 1,000 different rapes, 1,000 different sex trafficking instances. And this is not a moot point, even though they are doing that.
And once this bill is signed into law, any career official at the DOJ or the FBI who does not comply with the law is at legal risk. It's no longer just up to the president.
Look, we could have passed a simple resolution here in the House, and that would have been the end of it. Instead, we chose a very hard path, which is to get legislation, a law passed, which means it has to go to the House, the Senate, and be presented to the president. And that will have the force of law. They will be breaking the law if they do not release these files.
Thank you very much. Last question, and then.
Why do you think he has fought so hard? If he could do it now, why hasn't he done it?
I believe he's trying to protect friends and donors. And by the way, these aren't necessarily Republicans. Once you get to $1 billion, you transcend parties. You just assume you can pay off whatever party is in charge of the White House, whatever party is in charge of the House of Representatives. And this is about those kinds of people. I think he's been trying to protect them. And I think it also incriminates our own government. This is a complete and total failure of the justice system, as the survivors have witnessed here today to us. It incriminates the FBI. It incriminates our intelligence agencies. It incriminates police departments in West Palm Beach. And that's what has been protected by this, either willfully or unknowingly, and it's time to end it.
And I would agree with Representative Margaret Taylor Greene that what matters now is just the action. I don't speculate on what politicians' motives are or what's in their heart. The point is the American people have spoken, Congress has spoken, release the files. It's time for justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very brave.
Incredible. I appreciate
Okay. For what purpose does the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westerman, seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Resolution 879, I call up HJ Res 130 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
The clerk will report the title of the joint resolution.
House Joint Resolution 130, joint resolution providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code of the rules submitted by the Bureau of Land Management relating to Buffalo Field Office Record of Decision and approved Resource Management Plan Amendment.
Pursuant to House Resolution 879, the joint resolution is considered read. The joint resolution shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Natural Resources or their respective designees. The gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westman, and the gentleman from California, Mr. Huffman, each will control 30 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Westman.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to 130.
To it, and we're talking to them, and we start a process. But it would be a nice thing to have a deal with Iran, and we could have done it before the war, but that didn't work out. And something will happen there, I think. But they would very much like. I mean, they may say something else, but they would very much like to have a deal.
Mr. President, that you are going to sell 35 F-35 jets. You are planning. You said you are planning to sell the F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Is it part of the security agreement? And how you assess the defense partnership between Saudi Arabia and the United States? And the question for
Well, I just said it. I mean, we're going to sell them F-35s. That's the end of the question, I guess.
Is it part of the security agreement or no?
No, we're going to have a deal. They're going to purchase F-35s. They're buying them from Lockheed, and it's a great plane. We make, by the way, the best military equipment. You saw that during the Iran little skirmish. We make the best planes, the best missiles. We make the best offensive missiles. We make the best military equipment in the world.
Nice. For His Royal Highness, I would like to ask you about how you see the cooperation between the United States and Saudi Arabia in the advanced technological field, especially AI, and how it will support Saudi Arabia to serve its goal to achieve the vision of 2030?
Well, I will try to answer that in short, but definitely there's a lot of interest in many industries between Saudi Arabia and America, and we are signing a lot of agreements in different areas that will really add value to American economy, but also to add value to us in Saudi Arabia. And AI, it's critical for us because one of the long-term problems that we could have is lack of workforce. As you've seen in the past few years, some of them have reached 30% of the global migration to Saudi Arabia. So we know that to assure the Saudi Arabia GDP growing, with the lack of workforce that we have, we need to use a lot of computing power to replace job in the long term. So that's huge demand in Saudi Arabia, and we want to link it to American private sectors and getting the supply from America. So there's a lot of opportunities in that area.
And we're also involved in AI in Saudi Arabia. So we're working, and we're leading by a lot on AI. Actually a lot. China would be in second place, but we're leading by a lot. And I have to say this, and our relationship with China has been very good. And as far as buying our farm products, they're pretty much on schedule, Scott. I'd like you to call them, say if they could speed it up, it would be good. Okay, but they're pretty much on schedule.
I'm sorry, please. If I may, I have a question for both the conference and Faisal Abbas from Arab News, Saudi Arabia, Your Excellency.
It should be a friendly question.
Your Royal Highness, just picking up on something you've just mentioned about how some people try to destroy the relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United States. Perhaps, since the launch of the vision, we've been used to having the bigger picture and that everything fits into the bigger picture. Might you want to elaborate a little bit about where is the relationship, the bilateral relationship, the strategic partnership between Saudi Arabia and the United States heading, and what's the big picture there?
Well, I don't think it's a relation that we can replace it from the Saudi side or the American side. It's a critical relationship for our political attempt, for our economical attempt, for our security, for our military, for many things. And it has been there for 9 decades. And the opportunities that we have today, it's huge, and seems that it's going to get deeper in the next few decades. And what we are having today and tomorrow with President Trump, it's really a huge new chapter on this relation that will add value to both of us.
When you think about it, I'm just sitting here. You're with the future king, a man who's respected by everybody, a man that doesn't have to be doing this, really. I don't have to be doing it either. And yet we're sitting here taking questions, we didn't say, oh, you can't talk about this. And there's never been transparency like this, even in his country, but there's never been, in our country, that's been acknowledged, but we didn't put restrictions. And I'm saying it's sort of wonderful to be taking questions from all over the world. Everybody's here. This is just a small group representative of tremendous numbers of media that are outside, that are very jealous that these people were so selected. But they're representing a lot of people that are outside. I think it's terrific that we could be sitting here being this open, and I think it's really a wonderful thing. Yeah.
If you don't mind, I have a personal question for you.
Okay, here we go.
So apart from everything you mentioned in your opening remarks, you forgot to mention that you've de-escalated 7 wars since you started. At least in our part of the world, you are seen as a peacemaker. And adding that to all the executive orders and everything else you've mentioned, I really have to wonder, in your speech in Saudi Arabia, I was there, you said that His Royal Highness does not sleep at night thinking how he does things better. We wonder in Saudi Arabia, how do you manage your own time? And what's your formula for management?
He does not sleep much, and I don't sleep much. I think we have the same schedule. We're thinking about our countries. And if you sleep a lot and you're president, we just had one that slept more than any president. He broke every record. He sleeps all the time, during the day, during the night, on the beach. The only guy could fall asleep on the beach with the press watching. No, he's not a sleeper. I'm not a sleeper. We talk at night. We can talk. I can call him almost any time. He goes, hi, how you doing? It's like the craziest times. But now, when you love your job, when you love your country, and when you're in a position like we are, future king, highly respected, crown prince, and in my case, president, you're thinking about your country. You're thinking about making America great again. We're thinking about keeping Saudi Arabia strong and vital, and in a pretty tough part of the world, tricky part, right? Tricky part. a lot of tricky people, but he thinks about his country, and I think about my country. I don't want to sleep.
President Trump, do you expect a formal civil nuclear deal to be reached soon? Can you talk to us about that aspect
With
of
who?
today's with Saudi Arabia?
I can see that happening.
Do you think that an agreement will
I
happen
don't-
today?
It's not urgent. It's always when you have civil nuclear, but you have more oil than almost anybody else. We actually have more oil and gas than they do, but I refuse to say that.
And on
We
that-
have more than, we have more than anybody, can you imagine?
And on the F-35s, are those sales, Israel had reportedly wanted those sales to be conditioned on Saudi Arabia moving to normalized relations.
Israel will be happy. Israel is going to be
Is that a
happy.
condition of the F-35?
Israel's aware, and they're going to be very happy. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, please. Hello.
Hi, hello. My name is Amal Hazani from Sharq al-Awsat newspaper, from Riyadh, of course. I have a question for the Crown Prince and for you, Mr. President. Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, how much you expected from developing the cooperation with the United States in the field of new energy, AI, supply chain? How much you expected from that?
No limit. We just continue pushing forward. There's no limit. So we just push forward for all the opportunities that we have.
You have to understand, this is really a great ally. Just the fact that they're now doing, I came in here at 6, I did not know that. I was pushing for the 1 trillion, but he didn't tell me that. Now he told me. This is a great ally of ours. You know, when you invest $1 trillion, that's national security for us too, because it creates jobs, it creates a lot of things. And I would say, Scott, right? When you hear one country is putting $1 trillion into the United States, that creates national security. And, you know, I think that they don't have to say that, but I think a big part of that is also the fact that tariffs are in play. But even beyond tariffs, that's a real ally that will do that, creates a lot of power for the United States.
We are also in Saudi Arabia very happy for this much of Saudi money is a function here, and of course it's come back for us for benefits. So it's complementary interest. So this is the I think what's the different the friends and ally do.
Well, look, I love the country of Saudi Arabia. I know the people very well. The level of treatment that we go when we go to Saudi Arabia is something that is incredible. And the people like us, and I think they really like America, especially when I'm president. I don't think they liked America so much maybe for 4 years recently. I think Obama treated Saudi Arabia very, very badly, as you know. And I think Biden didn't have any idea where the hell he was. I don't think Biden knew the difference.
How would you describe the future relationship with Saudi Arabia? I mean, from the strategic aspects, would you describe that?
Say the relationship is with?
Yeah.
I would say top of the line. It's as good as it can. I don't think it can get much better. We have a country that trusts us, and that's why they make that investment. If they didn't trust us, they couldn't make that investment. And we trust them. They've been very reliable. Now I rebuilt our military in my first term, and we spent trillions of dollars, and we gave away some of it in Afghanistan stupidly because we had stupid people running our country. But we gave away, but that's as much as it was, it's a tiny fraction of what we put here. And we're bringing our military to a new level, the highest level ever. We have those plans to go now. And again, it's all American jobs and everything, so it's good for a lot of reasons. But as far as Saudi is concerned, no, I don't think our relationship could be better. I don't think they had a great relationship under Biden, and I don't think they had a great relationship under Obama. But they have a great relationship under Trump. When we did the presidential Walk of Fame, you saw that, right? And we're walking, and I asked the Crown Prince, so outside of Trump, because I blow everyone away, who was the best president for Saudi Arabia? And you could maybe, it's an interesting answer. I don't know.
Roosevelt, who started it, which is a Democrat. And Reagan, he's one of the historical presidents that have close ties with Saudi Arabia.
But does
But
Trump-
we've worked with all presidents.
Does
during
Trump
that
blow
time.
them all away?
No, it's another league, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
And Trump doesn't give a fist pump. I grabbed that hand. I don't give a hell where that hand's been. I grabbed that hand. Remember Biden? He travels for 20 hours, gets out, and he gives a fist bump. No. When you get out of the plane and you got the future king and the man who's one of the most respected people in the world, you shake his hand. You don't give him a fist bump, right? We don't want to ask you about that, but I can't imagine you were thrilled. You were like a little bit surprised. He's a fantastic guy. You don't do that. Yeah, please.
we're getting closer to the end of the year. Have you started the interviews for the Fed chair?
Yes.
Who have you interviewed?
I think I already know my choice.
Who is it?
Well, I liked him, but he's not going to take the job. He refused. You like Treasury better, right?
Much better, sir.
So we are talking to various people, and frankly, I'd love to get the guy currently in there out right now, but people are holding me back. He's done a terrible job, hurting housing a little bit. The truth is, we've been so successful, we've blown past his interest rate stupidity. He's been wrong. That's why I call him too late. He's too late. Jerome Too Late Powell. He was recommended to me by a guy that made a bad choice. And it's too bad. But despite that, it's having very little impact because we have all of these things happening. But it has an impact on housing to a certain extent. He's a fool. He's a stupid man. But we have some very good people.
Yes, sir. You'll be sitting down with them in the near future. And
We have some surprising names, and we have some standard names that everybody's talking about. And we may go the standard way. It's nice to every once in a while go politically correct. But we have some great names. Steve,
Have you
please.
talked to the president of the Bureau of Venezuela yet? Are you still open to that?
He wants to talk.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm open to talk. I talk to everybody. But no, he wants to. They treated us very badly. They sent all of their prison population into the United States, and we're getting them out rapidly. But he sent all of his, and he sends drugs into the United States and other things. No, he treated us badly. He was dealing with a bad president, and he was able to get away. We have now, I think we have the strongest borders anywhere in the world. Nobody's coming in unless they come in legally. We've taken very weak borders where millions of people can. The last 6 months, I don't do these reports. They say 0 people have been able to come in. Is that pretty good?
Mr.
I don't know if that
President,
is right, but it's
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely.
What the hell?
All psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it.
What the hell?
You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess
this president is trash. Trash.
I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get.
We don't believe the Democrat hoax. You just sound goofy when you say it. Stop saying Democratic hoax. It's not a hoax.
He gave me none, 0, no money to me. But he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's is your company, your crappy company is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it now?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC.
Oh, shit. There's some bullshit. Listen, what is he finna say? What is he finna say? He gonna get sued.
Because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and when you...
This is called stifling freedom of speech. When a government agency does it, it's against the law. He better shut the fuck up.
Your night was with him all the time. That creep, the fund guy, was with him all the time. What's his name? Who? Reed Hoffman. I don't.
That's all he had to say was, I will talk about that later. Not right now. That's all he had to say. Look at him run. They knew what they were doing, whoever that reporter was.
I know Reed Hoffman, but I know he spends a lot of money on the radical left. Reed Hoffman, in my opinion, should be under investigation. He's a sleazebag. And those are the people, but they don't get any press. They don't get any news. And you're not after the radical left because you're a radical left network. But I think the way you ask a question with the anger and the meanness is terrible. You ought to go back and learn how to be a reporter. No more questions from you. Who else has a question?
Prince, very quickly, I want to ask you, how much money is Saudi Arabia giving for Gaza reconstruction?
We are in discussion about that. Still, there is no amount being
It'll be a lot.
named, but
It'll be a
we
lot.
will definitely help.
Yeah, he's gonna. It's very important to him.
And a quick follow-up, the International Security Force, given your pledge there would be no U.S. boots on the ground, what is the
That's a trash president because it's a trash president. He could have just said, we're not going to talk about that and don't ask me again, and turned away. No, he had to go in and then try to denigrate her. This is the problem we have with this president. He has no decorum or no couth or no kind of presence about himself. He just does his worst impulse. The minute he feels like saying anything, he just says it. No self-control. This is what we hate the most.
U.S. role?
The Oval Office. It's the most powerful place in the world. You're standing right now in the most powerful place in the world. And no matter how big you are, these are the biggest people, the richest people. They walk into this office. It's special, isn't it? Look at him. He's so...
No, better still, why is it that y'all allowed that reporter, that one guy from the United States, go to the embassy in Saudi Arabia or wherever the hell he went to with his girlfriend, and he never came back out because they sliced and diced his ass inside that embassy because he was just dropping off a goddamn letter or he was dropping off something to move out of the country. This is the guy we sitting down here talking to. This guy he's horrible. The one in the dashiki or whatever. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Where that reporter guy went there with his girlfriend and he never came out the embassy. She was sitting in the car for hours and hours and shit. They had sliced and diced his ass up in there, chopped his ass up and booga, supposedly, allegedly, two of the most creepiest human beings on the earth in one fucking room.
Happy to be the biggest leaders in the world, the biggest leaders in the world. Like the gentleman on my right, everybody walks into the Oval Office and they say, wow. And now, by the way, the Oval Office is in the kind of condition that it should be in. Whether you look at the walk or the marble floors or anything down the road, we're fixing the White House. We're building one of the greatest ballrooms ever to be built. You know, we have an event tonight, and we're going to have about 118 people because we have a very small room. For 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom, and now you're going to get a great ballroom. And I have to say, I probably made a lot.
I forgot about that till you said something. I forgot about that till you said something. Till you said something about big male. I forgot about. Then it clicked in my head. This dude right here, this Crown Prince dude, is the one who had that reporter broke off while they were in the embassy. Just crazy.
A lot of enemies because, in your honor, we're having a dinner tonight, a beautiful dinner tonight, and we have a very small room, right? It's called the East Room, and it's beautiful.
Nobody asked for a goddamn ballroom. Nobody asked for any of that. Do you know the security? Well, shit.
Beautiful. It's all put up private money, all private money. And in the case, I think there's a restriction on foreigners. Otherwise, I could have asked you just for a check, okay? But there's a restriction.
Craig, that's all you got to do is look it up. Old boy went into an embassy and he never came back out. And this is the guy that ordered his execution. Stop it. Y'all better start doing fact checking. We don't need to tell you what we gave you enough facts for you to go look it up.
These are all private individuals that put up a lot of money to build the ballroom. Not one penny is being used from the federal government. So it's really a nice thing. But I look forward to it. I just pointed it out. If this would be a perfect night to have that ballroom open, Susie. If we had that open, we'd have a lot of people very happy. Right now, we have a lot of unhappy people because they all want to be with us tonight.
We cannot know what happened. No, we are surmising. We are surmising of what happened. He went in and he never came back out. And he's never been heard of since. So he ain't tied up in the basement.
Honor this great man. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody out. Let's go. A friend of mine for a long time, very good friend of mine. And I'm very proud of the job he's done. What he's done is incredible in terms of human rights and everything else. And he's the crown prince, the future king. And I just want to pay my greatest respect to your father, King, who is an amazing man. I met him early on. He greeted me at the airport at an age that was pretty high up there. And it was about 117 degrees. And he was standing on the red carpet as I came out of the plane. And he's amazing. And when I met his brilliant son, it was at the Oval Office. Shortly thereafter, you came in representing the country. And I called the father. I said, this guy is fantastic. And I don't know if that helped you or hurt you, but obviously it couldn't have hurt too much.
When you lose trust or you lose integrity in the office of the presidency, you shouldn't be the president. He lost that pretty early. The denial of the files, going against the grain of what people wanted. All of these things. People wanted what they wanted, but they didn't want this.
Because here you are, right? We had a great meeting. And the office has changed quite a bit. And we inherited a mess. You actually told me you thought the country was in big trouble. I'm not going to use the exact word that you use. I refuse to say that you thought our country was dead a year and a half, 2 years ago. But our country was in trouble, and now we have the hottest country in the world. You said that also. And we do. We have the United States is right now the hottest country in the world. And between the tariffs.
Do he be listening to what the hell he be saying to foreign countries, like shitting on other people's foreign country? Do he understand that he be shitting on other people's country when he be talking? I just wonder, do he be knowing that's what he doing, or he don't give a fuck? What's going on?
And the election, November 5th election, we've done things that nobody can believe. $21 trillion will be the amount invested in the United States or committed to invest in 1 year. So I'm here 9 months. We're up to almost $18 trillion. Biden, as an example, the Biden administration, if you call it that, it's not to me, it was the Biden lack of administration. They were less than 1 trillion for 4 years. We're going to be 21 trillion for 1 year. I think that's hard to believe. The biggest in history was a certain country.
He always opening his mouth saying some bullshit. Just be quiet and put them people out the door. Just look at all that gold, y'all. Look at all that gold. It's gaudy as hell.
Substantially, and we've already brought them down very, very substantially. Gasoline is way down. I think you'll be seeing $2 gasoline, but we're now at $2.50, $2.45. Some are lower than that. It was $4.55.
That's what I told him, Kenny Brown. This that prince that had that reporter killed. Okay. He is a shitty human being right here. But we got two shitty human beings. Two shitty leaders. I get it. This is fucked up. I can barely look at the prince because I know he ordered the death of that person.
$5, $6, $3.50, $3.75 under Biden, all different numbers, but way high. And we have energy way down. But the biggest thing to me, because I know what it means in jobs, is the fact that we're at over $17 trillion, Scott, and we expect to be around $21 trillion in 1 year. And that's many times bigger than in history. The highest number was $3 trillion. And we're going to be at 21 trillion. That means new plants, new AI, new auto plants. We have auto plants coming in from Canada, from Mexico, from Germany, from Japan. Toyota just agreed to invest $10 billion on new auto plants, all American workers. We've never been in a position like this. You can go back to the beginning. Our country has never been in a position like this. And it really is because of the fact that we use tariffs to bring all this money in. And you're going to see the results in a year when these plants start to open up. We have more plants under construction now.
We got plants under construction. Do you know how many billions of dollars it would take to bring manufacturing back? Only goofies believe manufacturing is coming back. Only goofies believe manufacturing is coming back. Only goofies believe manufacturing is coming back.
So I just want to thank you. We've been really good friends for a long period of time. We've always been on the same side of every issue. I think we've done a great job in wiping out the nuclear capacity of Iran. Nobody else could have done that. No other president would have done it. We had the pilots in the Oval Office right here. We were celebrating a very successful attack. So I had them in with that beautiful B-2 bomber that's over there. And they said, sir, for 22 years, we practiced this attack. Our predecessors, these were very young guys. So 22 years, they said our predecessors and us practiced the attack on Iran. But no president ever gave us the go-ahead. 3 times a year, they went out and they practiced the attack. Nobody let us do it until you came along. And I let them do it because it was the right thing to do. You can't have a nuclear Iran. And so we put you in a very good position. But I just want to say it's an honor to be your friend, and it's an honor that you're here. And if you'd like to say a few words, but thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. This relation has been a relation for about 9 decades, and we've been working together for a long time. But today it's a very important time in our history because there is also a lot of things that we're working on in the future. We believe in the future of the United States of America. We believe in what you're doing, Mr. President, is really creating a lot of good things and good foundation to create more economic growth, more business in America. And it will also your work for the world peace. I believe, Mr. President, today and tomorrow, we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many areas in technology, in AI, in earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the $600 billion will be $1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing, it will facilitate that. And
I like that very much.
You worked hard.
No, that's great. I appreciate that. That's great. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever done. And in all fairness, if you didn't see potential in the U.S., you wouldn't be doing that.
Definitely.
You don't want to lose money.
As you said, Mr. President, it's the most hottest country in the planet. But what you're creating is not about opportunity today. It's about also long-term opportunity in the United States of America that will affect American economy positively in the next coming decades. Preparing the right foundation of emerging technologies, that's a game changer for America in a good way, and we want to be part of it.
Yeah, we're doing really well. And this, you don't see what we're doing so much because we have, although the construction industry sees it. If you look at Caterpillar, who's been incredible, the tractors, everything else, the numbers that we're doing in construction are unbelievable. Some of the plants that we're building, AI, and they're building their own electric with the plant. I gave them the right to build their own electric with the plant because no country, frankly, will have this. China's working very hard to produce enough electric, but we're beating China substantially at AI, which is a big thing. And we had a great meeting 2 weeks ago with President Xi, but on AI, we're doing well. And I have a man, David Rommel.
Yes, sir.
David, could you say a few words about what you're seeing on the job front and all of the some of the assets, and also how we've been helped by the Saudis in terms of the kind of investment they've made, please.
Yeah, most certainly. Thank you for the opportunity. I am a facility leader for GE Vernova. And if you look at the landscape for GE Vernova investment, over $750 million in the U.S. focused on true manufacturing jobs here stateside. We're looking at tripling the output of our Greenville, South Carolina facility, where we make the gas turbines that are supporting U.S. needs as well as the Saudi Arabia needs.
Right.
So real jobs, $300 million in gas investment, resulting in over 500 pieces of new equipment being installed in the Greenville, South Carolina facility. That translates into roughly 1,800 jobs across the board for GE Vernova as we try to scale capacity to be able to meet this demand. Along with that, we're partnering with local communities to build the skill set that's required.
$750 million is a small to medium-sized investment when it comes to manufacturing. In order for a new plant alone for this wind pot, it would be at least $200 million just to get the plant up and running, the building and everything. That shit ain't happening the way he keeps saying it's happening. That's wild. It would take $200 billion. It would take $200 million alone just to get a building up to code and all that other shit. Man, they be lying their asses off in front of you. See, goofy people believe this shit.
Required to meet these capacity needs. So that talent pipeline is incredibly important. So it's real jobs in the manufacturing space.
Well, you've been great, and thank you very much. And we love that state. I won that state by record numbers. I won a lot of states by record. Texas, a lot of them by Indiana. We're working with Indiana or something right now. We won that. We won a lot of them by records, but that was one of them. I want to thank you very much. Say hello to everybody. Great job. You're doing a great job. Thank you. So just in wrapping up, we'll take a couple of questions, but I want to just tell you what an honor it is to be your friend. And I very much appreciate the investment of now $1 trillion, okay? I'm glad you got that out. I didn't want to be the one to tell them, but that's great news.
You keep increasing, Mr. President.
I know.
You know, each time the opportunities are just increasing more and more.
Well, the opportunities, right? You know, we're doing better. If even if you look back 6 months ago, I mean, all of a sudden you feel even better. So, and I think we're only going to go in one way. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. President, have you approved the export licenses for advanced chips to Saudi Arabia? The export licenses?
We are working on that. We're negotiating that right now. Marco, do you want to talk about that, or Scott?
Well, I mean, that's part of, we may have announcements on that later today, but that's what we've been working on is the mechanics by which something like that could be achieved. And it's part of the broader process, part of this broader engagement.
You got him like a deer in headlights. He don't even know what the fuck to say, knowing he dumb.
And cooperation between our two countries.
Certain levels of chips. Yeah.
For the Crown Prince, Royal Highness, you're talking about $1 trillion of investment. Could the kingdom continue to do that with oil prices in the mid-60s?
We are not creating a fake opportunities to, please America, please President Trump. It's real opportunities. For example, when you ask about the AI and the chips, Saudi Arabia have a huge demand a huge need of computing power, and we're gonna spend in the short term around $50 billion by consuming those semiconductors for our needs in Saudi Arabia. And with the agreement that we're gonna have with South America, that will allow us to focus that consuming power in the short term by $50 billion from the South America, and long term with hundreds of billions of dollars in the long term. So there's a lot of real opportunities that fit to our need in Saudi Arabia and fit to our investment strategy.
Mr. President, is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you.
Who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
Who the hell is
ABC News, sir.
Fake news, ABC fake news, one of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot. And anything they've done has been very good. That's what we've done. We've built a tremendous business for a long time. I've been very successful. I decided to leave that success behind and make America very successful. And I've made America more successful by far than it ever was, and that it ever could have been, no matter who was president. There would be nobody bringing in $21 trillion, that I can tell you right now. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen, but he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Okay, since you asked, Mr. President,
Please,
you allow me to answer. I feel painful about, families of 9/11 in America, but, we have to focus on reality.
Well, you know this man got to address that. He lying his ass off too.
Reality for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that. And it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Mr. President,
Mr. President,
this side, Mr.
thank you,
President.
Mr. President. The Crown Prince has been instrumental in helping lifting the sanctions on Syria. Will there be any joint investment between the U.S. and Syria? And will you visit Damascus?
Are you from Syria?
No, but
Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine.
Oh, making a lot of progress, huh? Very good. Well, they like me. The Palestinians like me. The Palestinians are doing very well, actually.
I don't know why you think they doing very well. The fuck is going, man? Woo!
I think we're working very closely with a lot of people that.
This is the best gaslighting president we done ever had.
Make everybody happy, including Israel, the Palestinians, and everybody. That's very interesting. No, I think that I will tell you, the Crown Prince called me, and he specifically asked me if I would lift the sanctions on Syria because he wants to see Syria make it. As you know, the leader of Syria was just here. We had a great meeting, and he's a strong guy, and I guess you need a strong person to run it. And I think Syria's made tremendous progress. We did lift the sanctions at the request of the Crown Prince. Also, the president of Turkey, Erdogan, called me specifically. He said, if you don't lift the sanctions, Syria doesn't have a chance. If you do, they have a very good chance. And between the two of them and some others, I lifted the sanctions. And the results so far have been pretty good.
Mr. President, can I ask you a question about the F-35s that are being sold to Saudi Arabia? Are these the same ones that are being used by the Israeli military? And if so, how does that allow for the qualitative military edge for Israel? And then I want to ask you, because you brought up the plight of the Palestinians, are you aware of relocation flights to South Africa that are taking place right now?
Which flights?
There are relocation flights that are taking place. Some Palestinians are being charged up to $2,000
I'm not going to South Africa for the G20 because I think their policies on the extermination of people are unacceptable. So I'm not going. So I won't refer to anything having to do with South Africa. South Africa has behaved extremely badly. But I will say that when you look at the F-35 and you're asking me, is it the same? I think it's going to be pretty similar, yeah.
How will that
This
affect-
is a great ally, and Israel's a great ally. And I know they'd like you to get planes of reduced caliber. I don't think that makes you too happy. They've been a great ally. Israel's been a great ally. And we're looking at that exactly right now. But as far as I'm concerned, I think they are both at a level where they should get top of the line. Yes, please.
Can I just quickly ask for the Crown Prince, if I could just ask about the direct talks between
It's
US
all right.
and
Steve, 1 second. Go ahead.
Have you reached an agreement on the U.S.-Saudi defense treaty today? And are you going to bring up the Abraham Accords in your discussion?
I already brought them up.
What did you say?
I think I got a positive response. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, so
Yes.
definitely we believe having a good relation with all the Eastern countries is a good thing, and we want to be part of the Ibrahim Accord, but we want also to be sure that we secure a clear path of two-state solution. And today we have a healthy discussion with Mr. President that we're going to work on that to be sure that we can prepare the right situation as soon as possible to have that.
I think we're, I don't want to use the word commitment, but we've had a very good talk on the Abraham Accords. We talked about one state, two state. We talked about a lot of things in a short period of time. We'll be discussing it further too. But I think you have a very good feeling toward the Abraham Accords.
Yes, definitely,
Two evil human beings in the room.
Mr. President. We want peace for the Israelis. We want peace for the Palestinians. We want them to coexist peacefully in the region, and we will do our best to reach that day.
And the defense agreement, have you reached agreement on that?
We pretty much have.
Question for the Crown Prince, if I could just finish.
We have reached agreement on that. Okay.
I wanted to ask you about the direct talks between the United States and Iran. Have you been fully briefed on that? And are you concerned at all about how this might impact Saudi security interests?
Well, we are close ally. We'll be working closely together on that issue, and we will do our best to help to reach a deal between the United States of America and Iran. And we believe it's good for Iran's future to have a good deal that will satisfies the region and the world and the United States of America. So we will do our best to see that day happen.
And by the way, Iran does want to make a deal. I can say I think they very badly want to make a deal.
Jobs are not coming back like that. Did you see the jobs report? Did you see the jobs report? The jobs are not coming back like that. Even if jobs were to come back to the United States, it would be years before you would see those jobs. It would be years before you would see enough to overcome the deficit that we are in now. Years. It would take minimum 5 to 10 years. Come on now.
I am totally open to it, and we're talking to them, and we start a process. But it would be a nice thing to have a deal with Iran, and we could have done it before the war, but that didn't work out. And something will happen there, I think. But they would very much like, I mean, they may say something else, but they would very much like to have a deal.
Mr. President, you announced that you are going to sell 35 F-35 jets. You are planning, you said you are planning to sell the F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Is it part of the security agreement? And how you assess the defense partnership between Saudi Arabia and the United States? And the question was,
Well, no, I just said it, though. I mean, we're gonna sell them F-35s. That's the end of the question, I
Is
guess.
it part of the security agreement or no?
No, we're gonna have a deal. They're gonna purchase F-35s. They're buying them from Lockheed, and it's a great plane. We make, by the way, the best military equipment. You saw that during the Iran little skirmish. We make the best planes, the best missiles. We make the best offensive missiles. We make the best military equipment in the world.
Nice. For His Royal Highness, I would like to ask you about how you see the cooperation between the United States and Saudi Arabia in the advanced technological field, especially AI, and how it will support Saudi Arabia to serve its goals to achieve the vision of 2030.
Well, I will try to answer that in short, but definitely there's a lot of interest in many industries between Saudi Arabia and America, and we are signing a lot of agreements in different areas that will really add value to American economy, but also to add value to us in Saudi Arabia. And AI, it's critical for us because one of the long-term problems that we could have is lack of workforce. As you've seen in the past few years, some of them have reached 30% of the global migration to Saudi Arabia. So we know that to assure the Saudi Arabia GDP growing, with the lack of workforce that we have, we need to use a lot of computing power to replace job in the long term. So that's huge demand in Saudi Arabia, and we want to link it to American private sectors and getting the supply from America. So there's a lot of opportunities in that area.
And we're also involved in AI in Saudi Arabia. So we're working, and we're leading by a lot on AI. Actually a lot. China would be in second place, but we're leading by a lot. And I have to say this, and our relationship with China has been very good. And as far as buying our farm products, they're pretty much on schedule, Scott. I'd like you to call them, say if they could speed it up, it would be good. Okay, but they're pretty much on schedule.
If I may, I have a question for both the Crown Prince and
Who are you?
Faisal Abbas from Arab News, Saudi Arabia. Your Excellency.
It should be a friendly question.
Your Royal Highness, just picking up on something you just mentioned about how some people try to destroy the relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United States. Perhaps, since the launch of the vision, we've been used to having the bigger picture and that everything fits into the bigger picture. Might you want to elaborate a little bit about where is the relationship, the bilateral relationship, the strategic partnership between Saudi Arabia and the United States heading, and what's the big picture there?
Well, I don't think it's a relation that we can replace it from the Saudi side or the American side. It's a critical relationship for our political attempt, for our economical attempt, for our security, for our military, for many things. And it has been there for 9 decades. And the opportunities that we have today, it's huge. And seems that it's going to get deeper in the next few decades. And what we are having today and tomorrow with President Trump, it's really a huge new chapter in this relation that will add value to both of us.
You know, when you think about it, I'm just sitting here. You're with the future king, a man who's respected by everybody, a man that doesn't have to be doing this, really. I don't have to be doing it either. And yet we're sitting here taking questions. We didn't say, oh, you can't talk about this. And there's never been transparency like this, even in his country. But there's never been, in our country, that's been acknowledged. But we didn't put restrictions. And I'm saying it's sort of wonderful to be taking questions from all over the world. Everybody's here. This is just a small group representative of tremendous.
Yeah, well, if y'all gonna do a jerk fest, I can't do it. But it is what it is. Two of the most slimiest human beings on the planet. That's what they are. Two of the slimiest human beings.
How the locals in the area, natural resources, who expressed concerns about the Biden administration's NPRA rulemaking process. And again, I quote, "The process to date has been confusingly deficient as the Bureau of Land Management has scheduled and canceled public
Yeah, didn't you see all that gold? Just wild. Just gold everywhere. Just ugh.
meetings on short notice, avoided consultation obligations, and attempted to avoid procedural safeguards that are meant to keep rulemakings of enormous public cost and consequence from being hastily and arbitrarily implemented. Neither comprehensive environmental nor economic reviews have been completed for a proposal that will dramatically change environmental and economic management in what may be the largest federal petroleum asset in the country," end quote. In that same hearing, Mr. Hartriak shared, again, I quote, "This decision, coupled with further protections for NPRA, will undoubtedly shrink the economic opportunities available to the North Slope. It virtually guarantees to set us back on our journey towards self-determination by requiring further reliance on the federal and state government to provide for the basic needs of the people on the North Slope," end quote. Ultimately, the Biden administration stymied energy production within the NPRA and failed to offer leases in a manner that would boost revenue and provide economic stability to the region and the state. The most recent lease sale in the NPRA took place in 2019 when the BLM leased over 1 million acres, generating more than $11 million, including roughly $5.6 million for the state of Alaska. Revenue from developing these resources is essential to livelihoods of all Alaskans. For example, in FY 2022, Alaskan oil and natural gas production, largely driven by the consequences of the pro-energy policies of the first Trump administration, generated $4.5 billion in state and local revenue and supported over 69,250 direct and indirect jobs. Alaska's role as a leader in unleashing American energy dominance will continue. In the Working Families Tax Cut Law, Congress highlighted the importance of the NPRA and required 5 lease sales to be held in the area over the next 10 years. To ensure our energy independence, we must unleash American energy and ensure access to our own resources here at home. This legislation is an important step in doing just that. I thank Representative Begich and Senator Sullivan for their work to bring SJ Res 80 to the House floor so we can nullify yet another misguided Biden-era action and take another step to put our nation's energy policy back on the right track. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Arkansas reserves. Gentleman from California, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I oppose SJ Res 80, which would overturn the BLM's 2022 Integrated Activity Plan Record of Decision for the National Petroleum Reserve Alaska, more commonly referred to as NPRA. Now, the name National Petroleum Reserve is more than a little misleading. This is not some industrial sacrifice zone. It's not some untapped oil field just waiting to be developed. On the contrary, the NPRA is the largest contiguous unit of public lands in the United States. It spans 23 million acres, and this area of the Western Arctic is home to a diverse ecosystem where iconic species like wolves, polar bears, and caribou roam, beluga and bowhead whales shelter in its coastal waters. Millions of migratory birds rely on this intact landscape and critical waters and wetlands that are the NPRA. The legislation before us today would withdraw a smart and well thought out plan to balance conservation and development in the NPRA. The 2022 NPRA plan was developed over more than a decade of engagement with a variety of stakeholders, scientists, experts, indigenous communities, NGOs, and industry. It aimed to limit the disruption and ecological harm from existing oil and gas development while also designating special areas to protect habitat for the many species that call this amazing place home. I respect that there are a variety of views on how to manage our nation's public lands, but it won't be possible for future administrations to incorporate feedback and comments on proposed actions in the NPRA if Congress approves the resolution before us today. The CRA, as we've said several times in the course of this debate, is a blunt instrument. It would prevent BLM from ever issuing a substantially similar replacement. And so this path would strip local land managers of the ability to respond to on-the-ground changes and needs for the future of the NPRA. My friends across the aisle, you don't need to do this. There are already processes in place for administrations to propose new management decisions if you don't like this plan. And the Trump administration is doing just that already, pursuing updates to the land management plans that we've been debating here using these standard inclusive mechanisms that allow for public input. Interior Secretary Burgum withdrew conservation protections for the NPRA in July. And just last week, the Interior Department finalized a new rule that overturned the previous plan. The Congressional Review Act is simply the wrong tool to address any changes to management of these lands, and it's not even necessary. So why do my Republican colleagues need to take up our valuable floor time here debating a rule that their friends in the administration have already rescinded? They just returned from a 53-day taxpayer-funded vacation, canceled 5 weeks of votes, and still have a long to-do list before the end of the year. That list, I hope, includes figuring out how to avoid another government shutdown in January. But you may wonder if my colleagues are spending time on polluter giveaways to maybe distract from something. Maybe something like the fact that President Trump has been mentioned more than 1,000 times in the Epstein emails. President Trump and House Republicans continue to push their drill baby drill agenda, even though it makes no sense for people, for the planet, or for our pocketbooks. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this distraction, this HJ Res 80, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from California reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would just like to point out that while the current administration did recently rescind the 2024 rule this month, passage of a CRA is still necessary to prevent a future administration from, again, weaponizing IEPs similar to this one that ignore congressional intent. And by replacing the 2022 IEP, BLM wouldn't be left in limbo. They would revert back to the initial IEP finalized under the first Trump administration, which did take into account Native tribal voices and is consistent with the requirements included in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. With that, I yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Alaska, the lead sponsor of the House companion to this legislation, Mr. Begich.
The gentleman from Alaska is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong support of Senate Joint Resolution 80, legislation to disapprove the Bureau of Land Management's 2022 Integrated Activity Plan for the National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska. Let me be very clear. This is not an abstract policy debate for the people of Alaska. This is about whether the federal government will honor both the law and its commitments to the people who call Alaska home, and whether America will choose energy independence over energy uncertainty. The National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska, an area the size of Indiana, was set aside more than a century ago to ensure the United States had a strategic domestic energy supply. Congress reaffirmed that purpose in the Naval Petroleum Reserves Production Act, directing the Secretary of the Interior to conduct a, quote, expeditious program of competitive leasing in the NPRA. But the 2022 Integrated Activity Plan, issued in the final stretch of the last administration, turned that congressional mandate on its head. It shut the door on 48% of the reserve, reducing available acreage from 18.6 million acres to just 11.8 million acres, and restricted infrastructure corridors across millions more. In effect, the plan attempted to create a wilderness area in a petroleum reserve, and it did so without listening to the people who actually live there. Alaska is asking us to act. The Inupiat people who live in the area have spoken, and they could not have been clearer. Through the North Slope Regional Trilateral, the Inupiat Community of the Arctic Slope, the North Slope Borough, and the Arctic Slope Regional Corporation, we have heard that the Biden administration's 2022 plan imposed, quote, sweeping restrictions that curtail responsible development, undermine congressional intent, and disregard the well-being of the people who depend on these lands for both subsistence and livelihoods, end quote. These communities are located in an area nearly the size.
Is this what the fuck they be doing with our taxpayer money? Why the fuck we ain't getting the votes that we supposed to be getting? What the hell is going on? It's like a bunch of mumbo fucking jumbo. Why y'all can't put that shit into some Emma? You know damn well that the American people are waiting for these damn Epstein files to come through. They damn sure waiting for it to be passed to the Senate. The fuck are they talking about in here?
Of Minnesota with no highway connections, extreme transportation costs, and a cost of living among the highest in the nation. Oil and gas development funds their schools, their public safety, their utilities, their clinics, basic services that most Americans assume their local government can provide. But on the North Slope, that stability exists because responsible development exists, and we have a duty to ensure that it continues. Alaska's business community stands with them. The Alaska Support Industry Alliance, representing 547 companies and 35,000 Alaskan workers, warned that the 2022 plan jeopardizes the jobs and investment their families depend on. National organizations from the National Federation of Independent Businesses to the American Exploration and Production Council to the American Petroleum Institute have also voiced their support for reversing this restrictive rule. And the administration itself has made clear that restoring access to the NPRA is a priority. President Trump's Executive Order 14153, Unleashing Alaska's Extraordinary Resource Potential, directs the Secretary of the Interior to review and rescind the 2022 decision and reestablish a balanced framework consistent with the 2020 plan. This statement of administration policy strongly supports this resolution. Mr. Speaker, Alaska is ready to power America. We are ready to help lower energy costs for families and small businesses. We are ready to strengthen national security by reducing our reliance on foreign nations. And the people who live in Alaska's far north, the people whose ancestors have called the region home for 10,000 years, are asking us to restore the balanced, lawful management framework that they helped shape. Senate Joint Resolution 80 does exactly that. It restores congressional intent, restores certainty for Alaska's communities. It restores America's strategic energy reserve. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting Senate Joint Resolution 80, to stand with Alaska, to stand with energy workers, with the Inupiat people of the North Slope, and with an American future grounded in abundant, affordable, secure energy. And with that, I yield back.
The gentleman from Arkansas.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to submit a letter for the record from the Inupiat Community of the Arctic Slope, ICAS, the North Slope Borough, and the Arctic Slope Regional Corporation, ASRC, that specifically states BLM failed to engage in meaningful government-to-government consultation with ASRC, the borough, and ICAS. This omission contradicts federal consultation requirements and disregards the voices of the very communities most affected. Our leadership has consistently raised concerns about this process and its outcome, yet those concerns were ignored.
Without objection, the gentleman from California, the gentleman reserves, gentleman from Arkansas reserve, gentleman from California.
Speaker. So again, the plan that this resolution targets for disapproval is not in place. It has been rescinded by the Trump administration. If ever there's a case for a misapplication of the CRA, it would be this right here. But I think, Mr. Speaker, it's an important time for us to step back and consider why using a CRA for any, frankly, public land management plan, but certainly for one that's already been rescinded, is just a recipe for uncertainty and conflict and litigation. Nearly a third of our nation's landmass, 640 million acres, is managed by the federal government. The Forest Service manages 193 million acres. BLM manages 244 million, and an additional in addition to 713 million acres of federal minerals. For nearly 50 years, BLM and the Forest Service have managed these lands under management plans required by the Federal Land Policy and Management Act and the National Forest Management Act. And these plans, known as resource management plans, we've been calling them RMPs, establish safeguards for watersheds and recreation areas. They facilitate energy development and grazing and logging and other commercial activities, and provide a mechanism for harmonizing the needs of local communities with our national goals and perspectives. Now, just a few months ago, we debated some other CRA resolutions targeting management plans, and we explained at that time how unprecedented that was. We still don't know the extent of chaos that is going to result from these actions that have already been taken, but we do know this: under the CRA, rules, and rules is a technical term of art here, normally cannot go into effect unless they are submitted for congressional review. And here's the problem: BLM and the Forest Service have never considered RMPs to be rules that they would submit to Congress. They've just never done that, and that's long been the case under both Democratic and Republican precedents being set by those presidents. Now that Congress has decided, apparently, to disapprove of individual RMPs, what does that mean for every other plan that is in place that wasn't submitted to Congress? What does that mean for the small businesses, the local communities, and other public land stakeholders who depend on a stable and predictable land use planning process? If the validity of these land use plans is challenged, then leases, permits, and other authorizations that depend on those plans could be called into question. This is already creating uncertainty and delays, making it nearly impossible for new projects to proceed on time. And here are a couple of examples for consideration. What would happen to the White River Oil and Gas Resource Management Plan Amendment in Colorado, which authorizes 15,000 oil and gas wells? What about the Rosemont Copper Plan Amendment for Forest Service lands in Arizona, approving a 5,000 acre open pit mine in the Coronado National Forest? Or the Gateway West, Trans-West Express, and Gateway South RMP amendments for 3 transmission lines through Wyoming, Idaho, Nevada, and Utah. Does Interior now need to go back and submit all of those RMP amendments to Congress for approval under this new Republican interpretation of the CRA? Is Congress prepared to take on day-to-day management of public lands and minerals thousands of miles from Washington, D.C.? I don't think so. But I am not the only one who has concerns about this treadmill of litigation and conflict and uncertainty that is being created here. Let me read a quote from Kathleen Sagama, President Trump's first nominee for director of BLM. And she said, quote, "There are some additional legal risks that can arise from the CRA. It's uncharted ground. And if not used wisely, there could be some legal risks introduced and some bad legal precedents." Just a few months ago, the House passed several other CRA resolutions overturning land management plans. As we said at the time, that it was unprecedented. These resolutions before us continue to chart unprecedented ground, and I don't think anyone, including my colleagues across the aisle, have thought a heck of a lot about where it leads. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would submit that a recipe for disaster is when an administration goes out on their own, goes around the laws that Congress passed, and implement bad rules on their way out the door and expect no repercussions from that. I'd say a recipe for good governance is when Congress acts within their power to disapprove of these rules, and that's exactly what we're doing with the CRA to make sure that these rules are followed. Mr. Speaker, I have no further requests for time. I'm prepared to close, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to point out that, we've heard a number of times now that more drilling is necessary in the name of energy independence. And I want to remind my colleagues that the United States is already the #1 producer of oil in the world and the #1 producer and exporter of gas in the world. But you would sure never know it when you look at the energy bills that are facing families all over this country. It is abundantly clear that the drill, baby, drill agenda is not working for everyday Americans. As long as we are dependent on the fossil fuel roller coaster, American consumers will be at the whim of the global oil and gas market. But if we want energy independence, and if we want lower utility bills, we need to get back on track with the transition to clean energy. It is cheaper, it is safer, and it is generated entirely here at home instead of being at the mercy of global price shocks like oil and gas just inherently are. Instead, this legislation would make us more reliant on fossil fuels and more entangled with the price effects of this fossil fuel roller coaster. Plus, oil from America's Arctic will not come online for many, many years. The Willow project, for example, won't start until around 2029. Meanwhile, the Arctic is warming 4 times faster than the rest of the world. Even at the Willow project, developer ConocoPhillips will use artificial chillers to freeze melting permafrost before drilling for oil. That's the kind of complexity and additional cost that is inherent in drilling in these remote, pristine parts of the Arctic. The project itself will release nearly 300 million metric tons of carbon pollution into the atmosphere over its lifetime, the equivalent of at least 66 coal-fired power plants. Again, Mr. Speaker, if we want true energy independence and security, we need to combat the climate crisis and transition to clean, renewable energy. And with that, I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm prepared to close and reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, if you could bear with me for one moment.
Yes.
Here it is. This is just excellent staff work, Mr. Speaker. In closing, I strongly oppose this resolution. The 3 Congressional Review Act resolutions that we've been considering here today are going to strip local land managers of the ability to respond to future challenges and changes and needs in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, the NPRA, and the Powder River Basin. If these reckless resolutions pass, these places will be locked into outdated plans that fail to account for changes in community needs, industry needs, and yes, climate-driven impacts. And these CRA resolutions are completely unnecessary because the Trump administration has already acted on their own to replace these plans. Even oil and gas industry experts across the political spectrum agree that the use of the CRA on land use plans creates regulatory and legal ambiguity. In fact, Kathleen Sagama, as I just told you, former President Trump's former nominee to lead the BLM, recently said, it's a quote worth repeating, there could be some legal risks introduced and bad legal precedent, unquote, when using CRAs in this manner. Yet apparently, my friends across the aisle are just going to do it anyway. Now, Sagama led the Western Energy Alliance, an oil and gas industry trade association. She testified before the House Natural Resource Majority many times. This misuse of the CRA will create regulatory chaos for everyone, including the industry. So I asked my colleagues across the aisle, why pursue it? House Republicans are continuing to lock the American people into higher energy costs by pushing their fossil fuel playbook and sabotaging clean, renewable energy. Our constituents deserve better. They deserve a future with clean and affordable energy, where utility bills aren't skyrocketing, where we know our lands and waters won't suffer as a result. That's why I oppose this resolution and urge all of my colleagues to join me in voting no, and I yield the balance of my time.
Gentleman from California yields. The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, it's been stated that gas and energy prices won't be reduced by passing this CRA, and I contend that they will, because overturning these rules would incentivize much needed investment throughout the state or the entire North Slope. The regional impacts of increased energy production in Alaska cannot be overstated. Refineries in the region, including California and Washington, are equipped to handle Alaskan oil, and the refinery in Kenai produces most of the state of Alaska's gasoline. The North Pole Refinery provides jet fuel for our military, amongst other aviation fuels. Two other refineries located in Valdez and near Fairbanks also produce diesel and heating fuels. And let me point out that 3 out of 10 state households in Alaska rely on fuel oil, kerosene, or propane for home heating. Now, you may ask, why would they rely on these fuels that are traditionally more expensive when Alaska has trillions of cubic feet of natural gas? That's because that natural gas is on the North Slope, and even in the city of Anchorage, they're running out of natural gas because they can't move the gas from the North Slope. They can't develop infrastructure. And not only can they not meet their own needs with that gas, they certainly can't export it to our allies. As many have shared, the NPRA is essential to unleashing American energy dominance and sustaining economies throughout Alaska. Congress must also act to undo the harm that the previous administration imposed, and we must work to unlock the estimated 8.7 billion barrels of oil and 25 trillion cubic feet of natural gas the NPRA holds. By repealing this decision, we can help uphold tribal voices and revert to the 2020 IAP that considered their meaningful input. Letting these plans shut down energy production in the NPRA linger would be devastating to Alaskans, especially the Native communities on the North Slope. Without jobs, people may leave these communities, jeopardizing the culture and social fabric of the region. We cannot afford to let this happen. We must pass SJ Res 80. I urge my colleagues to support passage of the important legislation. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields the balance of his time. All time for debate has expired. Pursuant to House Resolution 879, the previous question is ordered on the joint resolution. The question is on third reading of the joint resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Third reading.
Joint resolution providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code of the rules submitted by the Bureau of Land Management relating to National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska Integrated Activity Plan Record of Decision.
The question is on passage of the joint resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. It's about 6-7. The ayes have it. For what purpose is the gentleman?
Request the yeas and nays.
California seek recognition. The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Purpose does the gentlewoman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9, I rise to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows. H-Res 889. Censuring Representative Corey Mills. In the House of Representatives, resolution censuring Representative Corey Mills. Whereas Representative Corey Mills has on several occasions conducted himself in a manner that reflects discredit upon the House of Representatives. Whereas on February 19th, 2025, Washington, D.C., Metropolitan Police Department officers were called to resolve a private matter at Representative Corey Mills' residence, where officers were called to the 1300 block of Maryland Avenue Southwest around 1:15 p.m. for the report of an assault. Whereas police reports obtained by NBC4 Washington confirmed that the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department was investigating Representative Corey Mills for an alleged assault of a 27-year-old woman that took place on February 19, 2025 at the residence of Representative Corey Mills. Whereas the first police report provided to NBC4 Washington by a source and confirmed by a second source familiar with the investigation said that the 27-year-old woman accused her significant other for over a year of having grabbed her, shoved her, and pushed her out of the door, and also said that the woman involved showed the officer bruises on her arm which appeared fresh. And whereas NBC4 Washington also reported that the Metropolitan Police Department identified Representative Corey Mills as the significant other of the alleged victim of assault, which alleged victim was a 27-year-old woman who was not the wife of Representative Corey Mills, and that the alleged victim let officers hear subject one, now identified by MPD as Mills, instruct her to lie about the origin of her bruises. Eventually, subject one made contact with police and admitted that the situation escalated from verbal to physical, but it was severe enough to create bruising. Whereas on February 21st, 2025, the Washington Post also confirmed 2 DC police officers said that the alleged victim of assault initially told a 9/11 operator and police that she had been assaulted, and that officers said she also had what seemed to be visible injuries, and that while a supervisor initially classified the offense internally as a family disturbance, police commanders later learned of the incident, reviewed the reports and body camera footage from the responding officers, and reclassified the case as a domestic violence assault. Whereas on February 21st, 2025, NBC4 Washington also reported that the Metropolitan Police Department determined that probable cause to arrest Representative Corey Mills for misdemeanor assault existed and sent an arrest warrant for Representative Corey Mills to the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. However, then acting United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Ed Martin, refused to sign the arrest warrant for Representative Corey Mills and instead returned the case to the Metropolitan Police Department for further investigation. Whereas on July 14th, 2025, a different former romantic partner of Representative Corey Mills, who was apparently in a relationship with Representative Mills from November 2021 to February 2025, reported to authorities in Florida that Representative Mills threatened to release nude images and other intimate videos of her and threatened to harm her future romantic partners in retaliation for her decision to end a relationship with Representative Mills after seeing the public reports described above concerning the alleged February 2025 physical assault. Whereas on October 14, 2025, the Circuit Court of the Third Judicial Circuit in Columbia County, Florida, issued a final judgment of injunction for protection against dating violence against Representative Corey Mills, based on a finding that his former romantic partner was a victim of dating violence, or had reasonable cause to believe she was in imminent danger of becoming a victim of an act of dating violence. Whereas in August of 2024, the Office of Congressional Conduct adopted and transmitted to the Committee on Ethics of the House of Representatives a report indicating that there was substantial reason to believe that Representative Corey Mills may have omitted or misrepresented required information in his financial disclosure statements, accepting excessive contributions to his campaign committee in the form of personal loans and contributions that may not have derived from Representative Corey Mills' personal funds entered into, held, or enjoyed contracts with federal agencies while he was a member of Congress, and may have accepted through his campaign committee in-kind contributions or other contributions not lawfully made. Whereas individuals who served with Representative Corey Mills have called into question the veracity of the account of events which formed the basis of a recommendation that Representative Corey Mills receive an award of a Bronze Star bestowed in 2021 for his service under enemy fire in Iraq in 2003. Whereas in August of 2024, Representative Corey Mills provided the Daytona Beach News with documents purporting to prove that he earned a Bronze Star with heroism, including a Department of the Army Form 638 recommending Representative Corey Mills for a Bronze Star, which includes a signature from then Army Brigadier Commander Arnold N. Gordon Bray. However, retired Brigadier General Bray told the Daytona Beach News Journal in August of 2024 that he did not sign a Bronze Star recommendation for Representative Corey Mills. Whereas 5 people who served with Representative Corey Mills, including 2 men who were reported as having been personally saved by Representative Corey Mills at great risk to his own life as a basis for the recommendation for his Bronze Star in the Department of the Army Form 638, disputed that Representative Corey Mills was involved in their rescue or provided life-saving care. Whereas 1 private first class cited as having been involved in one of the listed achievements on Representative Corey Mills' Army Form 638, recommending him for a Bronze Star, denied that Representative Corey Mills provided him any aid, and also denied that his injuries were life-threatening. Whereas 1 sergeant cited as having been involved in one of the listed achievements on Representative Corey Mills' Army Form 638, recommending him for a Bronze Star, called the account a fabrication and claimed that he was not involved in any claims that Corey Mills makes about me. And whereas despite the numerous available contradictions of the accounts forming the basis of the recommendation for his Bronze Star, Representative Corey Mills described the legitimate factual disputes raised by individuals he purportedly served with and rescued as, quote, slander and defamation, end quote, in a statement at the Daytona Beach News Journal. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Representative Corey Mills be censured. Representative Corey Mills forthwith presents himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and Representative Corey Mills be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Corey Mills is hereby removed from the following standing committee of the House of Representatives, the Committee on Armed Services.
Under Rule 9, a resolution offered from the floor by a member other than the majority leader or the minority leader as a question of the privileges of the House has immediate precedent only at a time designated by the chair within 2 legislative days after the resolution is properly noticed. Pending that designation, the form of the resolution noticed by the gentlewoman from New York will appear in the record at this point. The chair will not at this time determine whether the resolution constitutes a question of privilege. That determination will be made at the time designated for consideration of the resolution. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Subject to the recess and call of the chair. Refer to the very first word of our Constitution. Find out if you belong here. Yeah. Churches, all this first slave, black slave, was slave, when slave, all that shit don't even matter. That's wild. All that shit don't even matter. You know the consequences of their actions. We know the consequences of their actions. First slave, they damn sure wasn't the last slave, that's for sure. They didn't sell the first slave, and they didn't really sell the first slaves either. If I'm not sure, it had something to do with Dutch people. So I don't know where y'all be getting your facts from. Could have been a black slave here. I don't care. That's not the point. Why you always going to the moon for some shit? The whole point is no, it don't matter. Because owning one slave is different from owning 30,000 slaves. I think it's a big difference. Okay? I think that's a very big difference. And being the first to do it was white people, not black people, white people. Just because black people owned slaves don't mean they had the monopoly. Y'all came along and overran that. Y'all came and overran that. I don't even understand why I got that conversation going. Just wild. I think it was, let me look this up. Let me look this shit up. Because then you be bothering me about some bullshit. Wait a minute, hold on. I meant to put this on. Oh shit, yeah, there you go, hold on. While they doing a fucking recess thing. I mean, where is it at? There you go.
And Willie, you told me that you voted for President Trump in 2024. Do you regret that decision? ¿Te arrepientes esa decisión?
Yes, 100%.
Why do you regret that decision?
That's because it's nothing that's true. It's not true. You know, and the first time he says something, and now, example, in the Latino people, we see everything is different. And the first time example, he say he go to catch the delincuentes. Criminals, yeah. And right now, he don't follow to criminals. He go to specific to Latino people. Why Latino people? Because in the last Saturday, example, behind to me, I see the white people, the black people, and some people, Indian people, and Chinese people, and me. The DSS come specific to me and catch to me. Not other people. Because don't care to other people, specific Latino people.
They viewed you as the criminals, and you viewed yourselves as white.
The Latino vote, what are we seeing among the polls there?
Yeah, what are we seeing? You know, one of the big shifts in 2024 from 2020 was that shift towards Donald Trump, right? Immigration played a key role in that. I want to start off with Latinos on Trump and immigration. You know, back a year ago, what did we see on the issue of immigration? Latino voters trusted Kamala Harris more than Donald Trump, but by just 2 points. 1, 2. Look now at Donald Trump's net approval rating on immigration among Latinos. He is 38 points underwater. That is a 36-point shift, essentially, from where we were a year ago on immigration. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are basically tied on the issue of immigration. And now on the issue of immigration, Latinos despise, hate Donald Trump, 38 points underwater. In their mind, he is doing something absolutely wrong when it comes to immigration.
That's what I said. I said that the Latinos and the independents have did a fucking switch like you would not believe. They dumped the Republican Party like you would not believe and swung the other way. This is where we are at. We are at party in free, well, Trump party, well, your Republican party's in free fall because you got different things. You got them all out there spouting about white nationalist Christian bullshit, alienating all the people, alienating all the damn coalition that they need. They keep talking about get the fuck out. You keep saying get the fuck out. You need those coalitions in order for you to win elections. You keep kicking these people out, you damn sure gonna lose election. Well, I mean, you lost a Latino vote. Ain't no Latino gonna vote for you. And then you got the black folk. Pat Yeager, we got the midterms. Once we get the midterms, it's over. It's done. It's a wrap. Nobody's voting for Republicans. Nobody wants this bullshit that's going on. It just is what it is. You ain't got to holler at me. I told y'all weeks ago that the Latinos was gone. I told y'all that weeks ago. I told y'all weeks ago that the independent people shaved off first. Wait a minute, hold on. I told y'all weeks ago that the independent people said, hell to the no. All them fly-by-night voters came online because they was listening to goofy late-night Republicans talk about Christian nationalism and values and gays and trans, and them Democrats gonna get y'all the trans, and the Democrats gonna get y'all changing your kid into gays, and the Democrats gonna get the illegals in here take your job. All that scare tactic and fear, all those scare tactics and fear mongering burnt y'all's party up, burnt the Republican Party up, burnt them up.
Of elections in New Jersey and Virginia. And one of the big questions that has been asked is, where are Latino voters? A Latino voting shift toward Donald Trump in 2024 helped propel him to victory. So what do the results in New Jersey and Virginia show us now? What might it tell us about what U.S. opinions are on the president's immigration policy? With us now, CNN chief data.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Jeb. Okay, Jeb. Y'all live in Delulu world. Okay, Jeb. If you've been watching politics as long as I've been watching politics, you can live in Delulu all you want to. This right here, this Trump-Epstein thing, this breakup of the Republicans, it's over. It's over for you guys. It's over for the Republican Party. It's gonna be hell to pay come mid-season. This year came real quick. Fuck up at the fuck up at the fuck up at the fuck up. Every time you turn around, this president was doing a fuck up. Just listen to the reporter. Y'all listen to
analyst Harry Enton. Harry, a lot going on constantly on the issue of immigration and immigration crackdowns.
I don't wish, just listen.
What are we seeing among the polls there?
Yeah, what are we seeing? You know, one of the big shifts in 2024 from 2020 was that shift towards Donald Trump, right? Immigration played a key role in that. I want to start off with Latinos on Trump and immigration. You know, back a year ago, what did we see on the issue of immigration? Latino voters trusted Kamala Harris more than Donald Trump, but by just 2 points. 1, 2. Look now at Donald Trump's net approval rating on immigration among Latinos. He is 38 points underwater. That is a 36-point shift, essentially, from where we were a year ago on immigration. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are basically tied on the issue of immigration. And now on the issue of immigration, Latinos despise, hate Donald Trump, 38 points underwater. In their mind, he is doing something absolutely wrong when it comes to immigration.
What about the Latino vote overall?
What about the Latino vote overall? All right, how do Latinos feel about Donald Trump overall? Let's take a look here. This, I think, sort of gives the game away.
Goodness.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, that is the phrase of the day. Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. In early February, again, he was just 2 points underwater. Look at where he is now. Late October, minus 34 points, 34 points underwater. A shift that's 32 points over the course of this year. I should point out this is the CBS News YouGov poll, but I was looking at the average polls. I was looking at our own poll. Very similar shift. 20, 25, 30-point shifts on the net approval rating away from Donald Trump among Latinos overall. Again, whatever Donald Trump is doing in office, in the minds of Latinos, it is not working. They have turned against him in massive, massive numbers.
I was in New
You know, I got some goofy maggots in my chat who keep thinking that he can turn that 34% deficit around. They keep being in my chat saying that it can be turned around. It can be turned around. Maybe it can be. Maybe it can be. The FC files is going to burn his ass, but hey, maybe it can be.
Jersey a couple weeks ago on election night there. People were watching certain counties with high Latino populations very closely. What did we learn?
Yeah, what did we learn from the 2025 elections? I took the highest Latino percentage area in both New Jersey and Virginia. New Jersey, it was Union City. Look at this, 2024 president, 2025 governorship. There was a 52, I'm laughing because you never see any numbers like this, a 52-point shift towards Mikey Sherrill from how Kamala Harris did on the margin. Mikey Sherrill ran away with this. Kamala Harris did win that vote, but by a small margin. Mikey Sherrill did 52 points better. How about in Virginia, Manassas Park? Look at that, a 22-point shift towards Abigail Spanberger from how Kamala Harris did back in 2024. We saw huge Latino shifts in both New Jersey and Virginia. The idea of what happens to Donald Trump won't impact down ballot. If you're a Republican, you believe that, that is fantasy land. What is happening to Donald Trump absolutely impacted what happened down ballot. Part of it is turnout, but part of it is persuasion. Latinos running away from Republicans, running to the Democrats, a big reversion of the mean. Latinos back in the Democratic camp in 2025.
Well, apparently the people in my chat don't seem to understand what the hell is going on. Apparently the motherfuckers in the chat don't seem to get what's going on. It's a different story if it was one thing, MAGAs. If it was one thing, I could say, okay, well, maybe y'all might still have a shot. Maybe it might be good for y'all if it was one thing. But it's like 10 things that are fucked up, 10 things that the Republican Party have been doing. They blame them for the shutdown. They didn't want no wars. They didn't want people dragged out of their house in the middle of the night because they're immigrants. They did not want to see no alligator Alcatraz. They did not want to see no Trump files. They did not want to see Donald Trump on TV spending money on the White House. They did not want to see Donald Trump calling people names, lefties, Antifas. They did not want to see people involved in. Why motherfuckers? Why y'all dumb on this? It would be a different thing if it was one or two things. It's a lot of things that they blame the Republicans for the shutdown. It's a lot of things that y'all ain't going to be able to overcome. Ain't nobody going over there that's Latino and black to vote, and Indian and people that know that Trump did not get no ceasefire over there in Israel. No, they don't. No, they don't. You know good and well, Pat. I ain't going for that. I ain't
the way they simply put, we're not.
You know better than that. Don't be dumb.
In 2024, and it's because of Donald John Trump.
Look, and a lot can change between now and next November, the 2026. But if you start sort of extrapolating this and overlaying it on places like Texas.
Yes, we're going to be having lots of discussion about Texas. That redistricting may not work out the way that a lot of Texas.
Yeah, well, it didn't work out the way they want.
Republicans and Donald Trump hope it would.
Harriet, great to see you.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Sarah.
Well, that redistricting did not work out. Hold on. What's the child's name? It did not work out. What happened, y'all? What happened? What had happened? What? Wait a minute. Hold on. What had happened, y'all? I thought the Texas was gonna gain some more seats. What had happened, y'all? What had happened? What happened?
This has got to be the sweetest of karmas. I've got breaking news out of Texas. Grab your teacups. Y'all remember Donald Trump.
If you think the Israel war is over, I got swamped. Well, yeah, it is over because they over there committing genocide. You know, hey, they just bombing and just breaking folks off. Yeah, it's over.
Trump called over to Texas, spoke to Greg Abbott, and said, I need for you to gerrymander the maps so that Republicans can get more seats in 2026 in Congress. If not, I'm cooked. And Greg Abbott said, what you say? You don't want black people to vote? Yes, sir. Right away, sir. And so he jumped.
No, I'm not I hope you ain't asking me, Debussy. I ain't okay with it. Apparently Donald Trump and the MAGAs is okay with it. If you fucking think there's a ceasefire over there in Israel between Israel and Gaza, then you're dumber than I think you are.
Jumped on it, and his peeps jumped on it, and they redrew the maps. Then a whole bunch of legal back and forth took place, and now federal judges have just blocked Texas from using the newly redrawn congressional district maps in the 2026 elections. It was a 3-judge panel that found that the new maps crafted by Republicans back in August at the urging of former President Donald Trump were intentionally drawn to dilute the voting power of Black and Latino communities, which violates the Federal Voting Rights Act. And judge,
I don't back people who kill innocent folks. I don't want, and most of America don't. The excuse that you're getting attacked, excuse that you're defending yourself, it's over. We don't believe you.
Just say politics played a part, but substantial evidence show racial gerrymandering at play. The court's decision is a major setback for Trump and GOP efforts to secure additional House seats, which is part of a much larger nationwide push to redraw.
I guess you're okay with what is it you asked me? The question you asked me. Am I okay with people getting killed, innocent people getting apparently you're okay with that. Guys, apparently you're okay with it.
Maps.
You coming over here saying that a little piece of land, a little strip of land is putting up an effort for fighting to a bigger country. For real. You must think I'm goofy.
In Republican-led states. For now, Texas.
Yeah, all of us niggas just want free shit. That's all we want. You Republicans can have your shitty party. Go have your shitty party. Go have your shitty party. Run all of the Latinos and the Vivek Ramaswamy. Run all of the Indian people away. That's all you got to do. Run them all away. All us niggas want free shit. That's all we want.
2021 maps will remain in place for the 2026 election. That's unless Texas appeals. And of course, we expect the state of Texas to appeal. And when that happens, it's probably going to go straight up to the Supreme Court for a decision. I just want you to think about this, and you'll be chuckling too. Just think about this. Texas jumped and asked Donald Trump how high.
They can all they Christian nationalists can go straight to Mar-a-Lago. That's where they can hang out at. And then the rest of the country are gonna be living their life. Because the Republican, the MAGA party don't want Black and white and Hispanic people in their party. They don't want Black and Hispanic and Asian and Indian people in their party. They don't want them in their party. They wouldn't be talking the 2-point crazy that they always talking.
When he told them to, right? And so they redrew these maps to try to get additional seats. That in turn activated Gavin Newsom.
I don't give a damn
who
about
did the
Israel
same
or
thing.
Palestine. I don't give a damn about one or the other. I care about America first.
For the state of California to try to cancel out the cheating that Texas was trying to do. But what Gavin did, Gavin took it to the voters. The voters overwhelmingly voted yes to redraw the state of California's maps. And the federal judges down in Texas said no. No, you can't do this. You're going to have to use the maps from 2021. So whatever amount of seats that they were anticipating and garnering from
You're always pointing to what you are. You cannot use the I am defending myself. They cannot use the I am defending myself. We see you. We see them. We see what is being done to the people. We see that. Or don't your goofy ass see pictures off the internet? Or your goofy ass don't see what is being done. We see what is being done. You can't gaslight me. You can't gaslight half the American people. That's why the fucking Republican Party is tearing up now. Because half of them see the bullshit that you're trying to float. Stop it. We know what's going on over there.
their redrawn maps down in Texas, it's out. But Gavin, however many seats he gets from his redrawn maps, those stand. Now we'll see. We'll see, because the three federal judges, it was the three federal.
I don't need to show jack shit. We already know. Everybody knows. Go over there and talk to Nick Fuentes, okay? Go over there and talk to Nick Fuentes. No, you just want to spout the company line. I don't care. I don't care one way or the other. We know what that country is. We know what they are. We know what they are. And you can't call one side a terrorist without calling the other side a terrorist. We know what they are, okay? So stop talking to me about it, because I don't believe you. I've seen the pictures, and most people have seen the pictures. So we're not going to be snowed by what you say.
Judge panel, they cited violations of the Voting Rights Act. You know, Donald Trump and his administration has been trying to figure out how to amend the Constitution to remove the Voting Rights Act. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted.
That still does not give anybody the right to make other people's lives be imploded. I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are. That's some goofy shit. Okay? Whatever you talking, that's some goofy shit. It is what it is. But anyway, people, they not coming back. They will come back, but I guess it'll be the recess, subject to the call of the chair. We will be back later on. We all don't get credit for your grandparents living through a genocide when your son does a genocide. What? Palestine will never be free until you get rid of. Yeah, okay. So I don't care about any of that, because because the news people and people like y'all like to gaslight people. We've seen the pictures. A block radius, a city, you can't devastate a city and we don't see it. Okay? You can't devastate a city and people not know that you have devastated the city. We understand exactly what's going on. It just is what it is. I don't care one way or the other. It just is. You guys want to make it seem as though you're the victim. That's not how that goes. You can't do the damage that you do and call yourself a victim. It just is what it is. Have a good night. I'll be back later. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all those good things. I'll be back later.